With the NFL draft officially over, we're here at the Clean Pocket Podcast to look back at the haul that every NFL team got. We're going to give grades. We're going to talk about all the picks. Who surprised us? Who let us down? Let's jump right into it. We're going to go division by division. We're going to start with the AFC East, and we're going to start with the Buffalo Bills. They had needs at defensive back, wide receiver, defensive tackle, edge, and safety. And they start off the draft with Maxwell Harrison, defensive back from Kentucky. The one thing I did love about this guy is he dapped up every single player coming through the draft process. I know you probably saw that on social media. Probably a good guy to get in there. But nothing really stood out to me with the Buffalo Bills. What about you guys?
I thought it did. I thought that was a great pick. He's a hell of a corner. He's the fastest corner in the draft. He can play zone. He can play man. They got Landon Jackson from Arkansas, a big, tough, physical defensive end run stopper. They got another interior defensive lineman. They got to get some stops on defense, man, because if they can get some stops throughout the course of a game, you know Josh Allen can put points on the board. So they addressed a lot of needs on defense, which they had to do. Now they can let Josh Allen go to work and score some points and win a lot of games in Buffalo.
Are you surprised they didn't go receiver till the last pick of the draft? I mean, I'm looking at the depth chart here, and you need Keon Coleman to step up in the second year, Khalil Shakir, you got Joshua Palmer, but after that, it's a little bit of a mixed bag on the receiver front.
They got the tight end, you know, that are pretty good. Kincaid, too, and obviously James Cook with the running game. So I think with Kincaid, Knox, James Cook, those are three weapons. Shakir, four weapons that are pretty damn good. They add one late. And then obviously Keon Coleman, hopefully he'll come into his own in year two and put up some big numbers.
All right. Well, Jay, you're our resident Bill guy. Colt, AQ, anything on the Bills that stood out?
I mean, I think, drafting corner, probably a pretty good value at pick 30. I think everybody kind of had that kid as Maxwell Harrison as really a first rounder. And so if he's sitting at your lap at 30, I don't think you can go wrong drafting a first round corner. I mean, he's going to help. I'm with you though, Justin. Like, I think if you look down the list of all, I mean, they got a couple D linemen, another corner, a tight end. Like I would have thought maybe in that second, third round, maybe third round or so, you go snag a slot receiver or so, I know they got two good tight ends. But yeah, I think overall draft, just don't know everybody as you get further down the list, but I think drafting a high rated corner at 30 is, generally a consensus good pick.
The tight end they got from Georgia Tech is a run blocker, so they're really going to try to establish a line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. They drafted three corners that can play, so the secondary will have a lot of depth. They got the defensive lineman from South Carolina that gives them more depth on the defensive front, but the tight end, three tight ends now for them. They're going to try to play power football. That's probably why they didn't go with another receiver that early, because they do love to run the ball in Buffalo.
I was going to mention that too, Jay. I mean, the fact that if you look at Kincaid and Knox, both those guys are F-type tight ends, and then they get their true Y. They can hammer the run game a little bit more. They know when they get to the playoffs, it's going to become a physical brand of football, whether it's the Ravens or the Chiefs, who they're going to have to see, and they got to be able to line up in the fourth quarter, run four-minute offense and control it. I also love the pick, Chase Lunt, the offensive tackle out of UConn. A lot of people probably don't know about him, but he's a monster, and they do a great job developing offensive linemen up there in Buffalo. They've always taken guys, like think about Spencer Brown, a guy out of Northern Iowa, and they've turned him into an all-pro type player. You get another guy like Chase Lunt down the line. This could be a 2-year, 3 developmental guy that could end up being a nice pick for them.
Yeah, and I also think they established a little bit of, hey, this is the identity we're trying to fix. They go D-tackle, edge, D-tackle with two defensive backs on either side of it. So they said, hey, we got Josh Allen, we got the MVP. Let's go add some defensive talent around him. All right, so do we want to go consensus grade? If we're going to argue, I mean, I'm going to throw a B out there, right? I'm not really overly ecstatic about this one. I think B is a solid grade for the Bills. What about you guys?
He's a solid grade. I mean, at the end of the day, listen, when you're drafting at the end of the draft, you're doing something right as a team. You're not going to get, a top 10 talent in any of the rounds unless you make a trade. And they get crazy value with one of the fastest burner type corners in the draft. And then they just put together good drafts. Brandon Beane's done a fantastic job up there. B.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. B plus, right? They definitely got help in their secondary. That's what they needed. Maybe if one of these corners becomes a 10-year player, it's a successful draft. But they got some depth, and I think offensively they got to feel pretty good, and so they addressed their needs. The Bills are a good football team. I mean, listen, I go play for Josh Allen any day, right? Like
Exactly.
get somebody who can cover, play some one-on-one, run. Like I think B plus is probably perfect.
I got to give them an A, man. They addressed their defense. They had to get defensive players, Justin.
Jay is such a
three corners.
he's such a
TJ
Bills
Sanders, who's
homer.
a hell of a big player, big playmaker.
At 41,
inside.
though, I'm just saying they got.
He can rush the passer as well as play the run. I like him because he can do a little bit of both in there. He'll provide a nice depth rotation in there at the defensive line. And they got that was a good draft. 3 good corners, 2 good defensive linemen, and they get better on defense, which is your goal. Some teams draft for best player available. Some teams draft for a little bit more of need. I think they went the need route and they addressed them, so it made them better.
All right, that's a question I have for you guys. If you were a general manager of a team, drafting for need, drafting best player available, how do you view that? Jay, obviously, you've been in those rooms before. How does that conversation go?
That's one of the toughest decisions you have to make. You might have a guy that's a little bit higher graded than another guy, but that other guy is a position that you got to have. You got to fill. Maybe it's like Sanders that the Bills drafted. Maybe they had a higher grade for a receiver, but they really had to address the defensive line to give Ed Oliver some help in there. So they drafted, Sanders. So, I don't think there's any wrong answer. I just think it depends on the GM and the head coach getting together saying, hey, this is what we got to do. This is where we're going to go. And we're okay with it.
Yeah, because I know when we were in Arizona at times, we would draft players and there'd be a little bit of a disconnect between upstairs and the coaching staff. And they'd be like, why are we drafting this guy for this style of defense? So you're right. The Buffalo Bills are typically on the same page between Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott. So a team that might not be on the same page is the team we're going to talk about next. The Miami Dolphins. They go Kenneth Grant, round 1. AQ, you're our Arizona guy right now. Do you know how to say the guard from Arizona's name?
I'm gonna give it a best guess. Jonah Savania is how I would say it. I think
who's a hell of a player. They go Jordan Phillips in the 5th round because they had moved around some picks, and they had some other picks in the 5th round. They went defensive back, safety, running back. They bring in Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers, who had more dead animals around him than I think anyone has ever seen before at one time. He gets picked in the 7th. And they go another D lineman in the 7th round as well. Give me the Miami Dolphins thoughts because I know we got to have some.
Quinn Ewers went in the 7th, Colt?
231.
Unfortunately, 7th round, man, it blows my mind.
Where was all of the hype about that? Him not getting drafted, Colt? How many games did Quinn win at Texas? And everybody's talking about one other guy not getting drafted, but Quinn Ewers is sitting there. How many games did he win?
25 games. He took them to the college football playoff twice. Come on, man. I know he's battled some injuries, but he's played in an NFL style system. He's very accurate with the football, 6'3". What else do you want? I understand that everybody has some flaws and everybody gets evaluated, but the fall of Shedeur Sanders and Quinn Ewers and even Will Howard to that extent, it just drives, I don't understand. It's an inexact science, I guess, but I hope Quinn does well at Miami. That's crazy.
A lot of good value comes out of the 7th round, though, guys. Just saying.
Hey. Good value. Speak to it, brother. Speak to it.
Well, let's go back to the 1st round here. Kenneth Grant. I know a lot of people have given the Dolphins a hard time on this one. They thought it was a bit of a reach there. Mike McDaniels is dapping up Chris Greer, who's the general manager there in Miami. It looked like they were pretty stoked about the pick. How are you guys feeling about Kenneth Grant going to Miami?
I don't think you can go wrong going O-line, D-line 1st round. I don't think you can go wrong. Listen, was he the best D-tackle in the draft? Was there other guys? You can look at Walter Nolan and say he was probably the better prospect. You might even said Derek Harmon might have been the better prospect. But, the top 4 guys essentially were Grant, Graham, Nolan, and Harmon, right? And they all went. Yep. And in what order you have them, that's all based on team. But I think Jay mentioned it the other night. You go O-line, D-line in the 1st round. You look at the teams that have built the right way. They've all gone O-line and addressed through O-line and D-line in the first 2 rounds. And that's what they did. They went and got a D-tackle. Obviously, they needed help on the offensive line. They go get Jonah Savania from Arizona, who I actually watched a lot of because I trained Jordan Morgan the year before, who went in the 1st round. And I saw him. He started showing up a ton. He was playing on the other side from Jordan Morgan a year ago. So Arizona's put out some really good offensive linemen in the last couple of years. So I think to get those 2 picks early, you get Ollie Gordon out of Oklahoma State, who's, he was a 2,000-yard rusher in college, and you get him in the 6th round. You get Quinn Ewers in the 7th. I think they did a heck of a job in their draft.
Yeah, Ollie's more of a big physical type back, which helps Achane out because Achane's a little guy. He can't handle all the punishment throughout the course of the game. They lost Mostert this year.
Yeah, but they got Jalen Wright, the kid from Tennessee. They got Alexander Madison from Minnesota.
Yeah, Ollie's a big son of a gun now. He is a big, powerful guy.
He's no Cam Scatterboo.
Yeah.
Was there any good tackles on the board at 13 that they could have went and got? Because I feel like they needed a tackle.
We're going to talk about that later. I think that, Josh Simmons was sitting there. He had some injury concerns. Who else went after him? Let me look it up real quick. I can go. You got
to think about this too, though.
Isn't
when they lost Terran Armstead? Terran's been hurt the last 2 years a lot.
Yeah.
So I think the guys that they've had in house, I think Kendall Lamb might be one of them, and there's another guy, but they've gotten some experience and they're probably comfortable enough with that. I think you can cover up a lot of things in that Shanahan scheme. You know what I mean, Jay? Right?
Yeah. Patrick Paul and Austin Jackson are starting tackles right now. They could use another one for sure. I don't think there was someone that they would want to take at 13. You had Josh Connerly, who AQ is not a fan of. Josh Simmons coming off injury. Ariante Irsay was a guy that we talked about. He went in the second round. So I don't think there was a true blue chip tackle to take. I think their decision came down to, do you want to go Walter Nolan, more of that penetrating 3 technique, or do you want to go with that run stopper? And then it was between Grant and Harmon, and you saw Harmon went 21st to the Steelers. So I guess, based on need, that was the guy they had to go with. And they needed defensive tackle help for sure. They were desperate. Desperate. And do you think it factored in? They took a guy from like the Big Ten from up north, a little bit played in cold weather before, trying to change the narrative of the Miami Dolphins.
Hey, maybe they got to go to Buffalo every year. I like the way they ended the draft. You hit it, AQ. I think Ollie Gordon is a very productive player, like one of the best backs in the Big 12 over the last several years. And then Quinn. Listen, Quinn's not coming in to be your day one starter with Tua, but at the end of the day, like, the dude can spin it. He's got a chance. Like, he's getting in a good system. It should fit him well. And so, like, as far as value, like late in the draft, listen, I think they crushed it. But yeah, they didn't address their offensive line really from a tackles perspective. That's what Tua's had his fair share of injuries and issues. That would have been a focus for me. Maybe a receiver, right? Like maybe they got two makes you nervous. Like, I don't know. Look at weapons. But I think overall, if we're going to give them a grade, what would you guys say? I would say. Wait, does Quinn Ewers beat out Zach Wilson there, Colt?
No,
he might.
No, he's not.
I don't think he's going to get a fair shot at it, but he could.
All right, so if the Buffalo Bills were in the B range,
how the hell do you know he's not going to beat him out? What are you talking about?
What's
Zach Wilson done has been so impressive over his career.
You just called me. You did just call me. Yeah. No, he's talking to me. He's talking to me. Yeah. No, I'm saying you caught me for sure. Like that's red-handed, like a can in a cookie jar. Like, I don't know. You're right. He very well could.
God.
Talking about the draft though, man. Listen, like, thinking that you're going to go in like the, maybe first round, likely second or third round, and then you slip all the way to the 7th round. Like, that's a hard thing. You had the cameras, you had the TV. Like, I hate watching that and seeing that. And in his defense and to his, like, for me, like, he is a good quarterback. He's played a lot of football. He's done a lot of good things. He's been in an NFL type system. Coach Sark runs an NFL scheme. Like, he reads defenses. He attacks matchups. Like, he knows what he's doing. Like, and it's hard for me to see a guy like him slip that far when you could turn on the tape and, like, he does. I'm not justifying him being the top pick in the draft. I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of quarterbacks that got drafted before him that I kind of scratched my head on.
All right. Well, so we're saying Miami Dolphins. If the Bills are a B, is this a B minus? Bills were an A. I'm sorry. Okay. If they were that, Miami Dolphins just didn't have a ton of picks.
Miami's is a C. They got to be a C.
I think so too.
They didn't have a lot of picks. They got a defensive tackle, a run stopper. They got an offensive guard. Not very exciting.
Jay's so angry. A guard and an interior D lineman.
And then they got another fat defensive lineman with no production, just a big body in there to throw in there. But they addressed the major need, which is D tackle. But you can't give them a good grade because they're not going to get a lot of production out of this class unless Quinn Ewers comes in.
I'm with you. I think
Gordon's going to make an
Otherwise,
make a
you look
difference.
back on this draft 5 years from now, you're never going to hear of these guys. Right?
I'm with you, Jay. I think C. If anyone want to go higher,
C it is.
Okay. New England Patriots are up next. They had offensive tackle need. I'm going to let AQ kick this one off and give us his thoughts on this one. They had receiver, safety, edge, basically everything. If you're the New England Patriots, you needed a lot of help. They kicked things off with Will Campbell. He had the pinstripe suit on. He was looking fresh out there. AQ, give us your thoughts on the first pick for the New England Patriots.
I'll go back to free agency. I think what the New England Patriots have done this offseason, they've nailed it. I think they've nailed it. I think they crushed in what they did in free agency, and I think they nailed their picks in this draft. I mean, typical New England style, getting a long snapper and a kicker in the draft, which is awesome. You definitely get those guys late. But if you look at their first 2 picks, Will Campbell.
From Vanderbilt, too.
Right. I mean, Will Campbell was not my favorite offensive tackle, but he was in all of our top 3s, right? And so, you know, at the end of the day, however you had those guys slated, you make the pick, and it's the right one for that team, and they did it. I think Will Campbell's going to have a very productive, solid career. And then I love the running back out of Ohio State, Travion Henderson. I know Jay likes the other guy better, Judkins, but I mean, Henderson's still a damn good back, and I think
No, I'd never said that, by the way.
You don't like Judkins? I thought you said you like Judkins better.
Well, it depends. Judkins is more of a first down back. They're both very good. Sorry.
I mean, you're so wishy-washy all the time. It's unbelievable. Anyways.
But he always gets on us, though. He's always on us. He's always like, oh, you guys are just...
Depends on what kind of back you want. I mean, do you want a first, second down back?
It also depends on what day you wake up and which way you're swaying.
If you have
18 holes went that day.
If you have Stevenson on your team already, you want Henderson. You don't want Judkins and Henderson.
That's the right move.
See what I'm saying?
That's right.
So it's a great move. Great draft pick.
Great draft. And also, I will say this: Jared Wilson, the interior lineman from Georgia, getting him as a 3rd-round pick, I think that, I mean, he was flying up people's draft boards. I mean, he's athletic as hell. He's going to bring a lot to that team. They got Bradbury in the offseason, but Bradbury's had his question marks. So if Bradbury doesn't go in and take this thing right away, then look to Jared Wilson possibly as your center of the New England Patriots for the next 12 years.
There you go.
12 years. Damn.
I like the wide receiver they took out of Washington State.
Kyle Williams.
Kyle Williams. Yeah. I watched him play a couple times this year. Really like when he's one of those guys, punt returner, kick returner. When he gets the ball in his hand, he's shifty, makes guys miss, runs good routes. I think he's a pretty polished guy. And also played in sort of the air raid system. So he's got a pretty good little route tree. I do think he's a player that will make the team and contribute. I think there's a place for him there. Be a good little slot receiver for Drake May.
Yeah, I just worry
about the receivers. They need a big receiver that can block. I know Polk's coming off an injury, so he's a good blocker. He was in college anyway. But, you know, they got Diggs and Williams and Demario Douglas. I mean, these guys are not blockers. If they want to run the ball effectively, they got to get some more physicality at the receiver room. So hopefully they'll address that at some other time.
When are they going to address it, Jay? Who else is available?
Maybe in training camp, they'll find somebody, a college free agent or something, or somebody will get cut and add a guy like a Mac Hollins to their team that can really block.
Well, they do have Mac Hollins on their team. So
exactly, just like Mac Hollins.
But to double down on Kyle Williams, Colt, he got after Syracuse in the bowl game. I just kept thinking, like, who the hell is this Kyle Williams? He definitely can play ball. Everyone thought that Will Campbell will go there. So the Patriots kind of ran chalk. They did what everyone expected them to do. They've done well in the free agent market. We're not grading that. Just strictly grading the draft. AQ, Patriots.
I thought they nailed it. I mean, I'd put them as a A-, maybe. I mean, just because they took a kicker and a long snapper. I mean, that's typical.
You like that?
Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, I would have given an A+ if they didn't make those 2 picks late. You know, I think you can always address that in some way, shape, or form. But to use 2 draft picks on that, I think brings them to an A-. But I thought they nailed their first, 5 or 6 picks. I thought they nailed them.
I would say for sure I think they nailed their first 4 picks. That's hard for a lot of teams to say, but I think they got 4 starters in their first 4, or 4 contributors in their first 4 picks, which to me, that'll probably give you like an A-. I don't know the rest of the squad, what they did late, but I think their first 4 picks are guys who are going to make an impact for them this year.
Jay, any arguments there?
No, I'll give them a solid B+. The hell. You got a starting left tackle for the next 15 years, hopefully, and you got a hell of a back that's an explosive type player that can put points on the board. You got a wide receiver that has great speed. It can make big plays, right? You got another big center from Georgia. They got a long time. I mean, you guys hit it on the head. They got another corner late. So, yeah, they have done a great job of changing their football team from being a 2-15, whatever they were last year, to being a competitive team that could actually give Buffalo a run for their money this year if Drake May can make that second year major step.
So you're saying, New England finishes second in the AFC East then? Like if you were over under, they're second or first?
They're going to beat the Jets for sure.
They're better than the Jets. They're better than Dolphins.
We're getting to the Jets. We're getting to the Jets. All right. Well, then that's a great segue. I'll stick with the A-. I like that. Moving on to the New York Jets. They probably get the best run blocker in the draft in Armand Membu. Second round, 42nd overall. They go get Mason Taylor, tight end from LSU. Third round, they go Azariah Thomas, cornerback from Florida State. They were comping him to Jalen Ramsey, so I think that's always a good thing. They go receiver, defensive back, linebacker, edge to round things off. New York Jets, quick thoughts on them. How do we like them, Colt?
Fine. I think they got their first. I mean, you guys nailed this. You knew they were going to draft him at 7, Mimbow. So I mean, I think for them, they get a left tackle that you guys had graded as the best left tackle in the draft. I don't know. I think overall, fine. I don't really know much about the rest of these players. I think Mason Taylor's a good tight end. I think he's solid. Every quarterback needs a true sort of tight end, dependable, reliable. I think he's that. I think he will help in the passing game a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's hard to say. I mean, what are we saying? B probably? B minus?
I like Armand Membu a lot. I liked him a lot. Too. They went with some freakazoids on, like, athletically. I saw that athlete score. All these guys were testing off the charts. I like a B plus. I like a B plus here. I think you're not far off, Cole. I like B plus.
Yeah.
That's a great grade, man. B plus. Yeah. B plus. That's great. I mean, Mason Taylor is, I think, a little high. I know a lot of people had him sneaking into the first round like you, Justin, but he's not really that athletic. He doesn't run after the catch very well. He's not a very physical, imposing blocker. He's just a guy, I think, as a tight end. So I don't really think that is a huge upgrade to their team. Membu obviously is a big one. Other than that, we'll have to wait and see on these cats, how they fit in. I think the Jets have a long way to go. Quarterback has to play well, which he hasn't really done consistently in his career ever. The offensive line's got to get better so they can run the ball, which they got better, hopefully, with this Membu cat. But the point of attack at tight end worries me. So they got a long way to go. I just think they need a little bit more, so I can't give them a very high grade other than drafting a right tackle at number 7.
So are you saying is B in there, or are we in C range with these dudes?
I don't really know. Who cares about? I used to wake up the next day when we had a draft and look at, what draft grades did we get? Oh, we got a B plus from some guy from Sports Illustrated. Who gives a rat's ass? This is about what this team wanted to do. They obviously got the guys they wanted because they picked them for a reason. They interviewed them. They got the medicals correct on them.
Okay.
They're a fit for their football team. So they like their draft, and that's all that counts. Me, on the other hand, I'm not a huge fan of their draft. I'd give them a C.
That's what I'm asking, Jay. I'm not asking if you're in the building and defending like their livelihoods.
Yeah. I mean, 4 years from now, they might have 5 Pro Bowlers from this damn draft.
Jay, the whole purpose of this is we're wanting to know what you would grade them, so I'm glad you told us, man.
All right. Let's switch gears. Let's switch divisions. Let's go to a team that Jay might have something nice to say about, and he might not. The Baltimore Ravens. We're hopping into the AFC North. Malachi Starks, Mike Green, Emory Jones, Buchanan, linebacker from Cal. List goes on and on. I'm not going to name every person they drafted. They also drafted a kicker, AQ. I'm wondering how that's going to factor into your grades. AQ, as our former Baltimore Raven representative, how do we feel about this one?
Listen, I don't think you can ever question a thing that Eric DaCosta and Ozzie Newsome do. I just don't think you can.
They always nail it, man. It's crazy.
I think they always nail it. And even when you look down at these names, you're like, I don't even know who this guy is. Like, the kicker makes a lot of sense. Listen, I think what that kicker says is the fact that all of these allegations against your boy down in Texas, Justin Tucker, he's on his way out. I think that's what that screams. So again, what Jay said earlier, do we address for best player available or do we address for need? I think that is a need. So they went out and got a guy that they're going to feel comfortable with. But I think when you look at, arguably, Mike Green was projected in the first round a lot. I mean, he's one of the better pass rushers, in this draft, and they go get a guy. Where they've struggled, by the way. I mean, they've gotten production from Kyle Van Noy. They've gotten production from Owe. They've gotten production from guys, but they haven't had like a true Terrell Suggs type of pass rusher in a long time. And hopefully Mike Green can do that. And if you get him at pick 59, I mean, that is a huge win. I mean, and then you go down and they just get guys where we're going to sit here and be like, who are these guys? And then in 4 years, these guys are all going to be starters because that's what they do in Baltimore. They do a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at that Mike Green one. Obviously, some off-the-field issues coming into the draft is probably why he fell a little bit further. But you're getting a hell of a football player. Had 17 sacks last year. Malachi Starks, I think everyone mentioned it. Like, safeties really aren't going in the top 15. He's as good as they get. Again, Georgia, defensive player, draft him. Line him up there next to Kyle Hamilton, and you're going to have a ton of success. I'm going A for the Baltimore Ravens. Anyone have anything else they want to touch on with them?
Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
Buchanan, the linebacker from Cal, first team All ACC, a 41-inch vertical jump. He's explosive. You can pair him up next to Roquan Smith. If not, he can be a backup role player, linebacker, nickel situations. But also, I mentioned it many, many times before, these big athletic linebackers that are your backups are going to be huge on kickoff cover with the new kickoff cover rule. So they address not only depth at the linebacker position, but another key element to a guy running down full speed on those kickoffs. And Baltimore's always been a big, fast, physical football team. Yeah. And he's another good add for that defense.
It's always weird when you say Cal and ACC. So that still doesn't.
I know, man. I have to make sure I said that right. It didn't even sound right coming out of my mouth.
I think Malachi Starks is a good player. I mean, I think I've watched him play several times. He's a good cover safety. Like he's a guy that can cover tight ends. He can rotate down. He can play in the box at times, but he's got good ball skills. Of all the safeties that I looked at, he had the best ball skills, tracking a football, having a nose for the foot. Like he feels like the perfect Baltimore Ravens safety. He and Kyle Hamilton will be in the back. Like I like that pick a lot. That addresses a need. And they got good value for him at pick 27. I don't know if everybody thought he would be there right then, but I love those first two picks. Again, I think those are two guys that could be starters for a long time in Baltimore.
All right, so we're going A with the Ravens. Moving on to the Bengals, keep this thing churning. Shamar Stewart, first round pick. Testing off the charts. Jay loves him. Sent him off the bus first, but he's actually going to produce for the Cincinnati Bengals. What are we giving the Bengals? Jay Gruden.
I love the way he looked at the combine, but he didn't make any tackles at the combine. That's his problem. He doesn't make any tackles or sacks at Texas A&M. Hopefully he'll turn it around with the Cincinnati Bengals. It's a risk. You take a guy based on measurables and you're hoping that translates to the NFL where all of a sudden he'll figure out how to sack the quarterback. So yeah, I can't give him a good grade because they drafted a guy that didn't make any plays, although hopefully he will. So I can't give him a very good grade. And the rest of the guys, they didn't have many picks. Knight's a linebacker from South Carolina. He's a good player, but they needed help on defense. It's no secret. They spent a lot of money on their receiver room. Obviously Joe Burrow, they needed help, another running back, I believe, but really they addressed another offensive lineman they got in the draft that helps Joe Burrow, obviously in the depth of the offensive line, but they got to get better on defense. It was tragic watching that defense play last year. And hopefully they address it with some guys here.
Potential get you fired in the NFL. I'm going Cincinnati Bengals C-. I'm not seeing it. Potential get you fired. Anyone else have anything to add?
Not really, other than I think they did get a pretty good running back late in the draft. The kid from Texas Tech, Taj Brooks, in the 6th round. Like he's played a lot of football. I think Texas Tech is known for their passing, attack air raid system, but I think Taj Brooks is the all-time leading rusher for that program, which is pretty big accomplishment anywhere. And I think he provides good depth for that football team, that offense. I mean, for me, it's like, I'm with you. I think Shamar Stewart has the ability to be a really good player. I don't know how that impacts their kind of edge situation and, all that's going on there that we've talked about. I'd always be a fan of protecting Joe Burrow. I mean, he's been hit more than any other quarterback. And I don't know if the 3rd round pick, did you guys break him down? Dylan Fairchild?
I've watched Dylan. Dylan's a good player. I mean, that's a good get for them. I mean, like I think when you
Good
get
value for that pick.
bingo, I think that mid-third round, anytime you get a solid offensive lineman, that whether or not Jacksonville did the same thing, they went and got the kid out of West Virginia in the third round. I think those picks are huge. And like Jay and I kind of mentioned the other day, it's like interior offensive linemen, like you can get unbelievable value in rounds 2 through 7. Unbelievable. You know, and when you look at these guys that took interior guys in the first round, it's like, whoa, tough. But rounds 2 through 7, you can get some really good value picks, and this is one of them.
Yeah. I mean, if you look back on this draft and Shamar Stewart becomes an all-pro player, you're like, hey, all right, we took a chance on him and he nailed it. But, like, we'll see. I remember playing the Cincinnati Bengals early in my career, and it was like James Michael Johnson, who was long and
6'10",
like arms. And then you had on the other side,
Dunlap.
you had Carlos Dunlap. I mean, Shamar Stewart is a big, physical, strong guy. Can he turn in?
You had the Polish kid on the interior. What was his name? Margus Hunt or something?
Yeah, right. But can Shamar Stewart turn into one of those like established, strong defensive ends in the AFC North and like, man that side of the line of scrimmage? Then I think it's a successful draft. But if you ask me off the bat right now, I'd probably say like C.
Yeah, I mean, Logan Wilson and Pratt were their linebackers. They went out and got 2 more linebackers in Fairchild and Carter. So, Logan's been dealing with injuries a lot throughout his career, I think. So I think it's good to address the interior part of that defense, the linebacker position. They got the defensive linemen. They just got to figure out ways to stop people from throwing the ball and running the ball. So they made a good start and a good attempt, but they still have a long ways to go to get people off the field on third down and get people to punt once in a while against this defense.
All right. Well, moving on to the Cleveland Browns. We're in the C range, C minus C for the Cincinnati Bengals. Moving on to the Browns. Controversial. They trade back. They accumulate picks. They draft Mason Graham, Carson Schlesinger from UCLA, stud linebacker. They get Judkins from Ohio State. They draft Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round. They also got Harold Fannin from Bowling Green, but they draft Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round. And then they decide to go up into the 5th round and get Shedeur Sanders. This is a team that we got to talk about. You guys had them on the night 1 as a loser. Where do they end up when the draft finishes?
A loser.
Hey, this is your team, Justin. You tell us.
I think this is an A draft.
I think. Well, you also throw the fact that they could get a top 10 pick next year for Jacksonville.
That's what I'm accounting for. You have another pick next year.
100%. I agree with you. But also, you have to understand, Justin, if Travis Hunter becomes Rookie of the Year, leads the league in receptions, and plays defense, you might want to reconsider that trade. So there's a lot still to be determined with this trade.
Okay,
you went and got a 3-technique. You went and got a 3-technique run stopper and gave up a chance to get one of the top receivers in the league, possibly, and one of the top corners.
It goes down as it'll be Mason Graham. It'll be the 1st round pick next year and the 3rd round pick next year, and versus Travis Hunter. So yeah, I mean, look, you can always do those things. Every time you look back at these massive trades and these hauls, it's typically the team that got all the picks and got all the darts to throw at the dartboard, because odds of you hitting on a player, him staying healthy, him having a successful career is very tough. I think the Browns, the only thing I think is Shedeur. It seems like Jimmy Haslam called Andrew Berry and said, hey, you're drafting Shedeur at the 5th pick, or our 5th round pick, because when you saw Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, they were just like doing golf claps. No one was cheering. So it just seemed a bit awkward. I don't know. Maybe
they're tired. It's been a long 3 days. I wouldn't judge it on that. Listen, the best pick that the Browns made, in my opinion, is the linebacker from UCLA.
Yeah.
Carson Schlesinger.
Former walk-on.
Yeah, former walk-on. This dude's a stud. I watched him play a few times last year. I called a couple of their games. Is it weird to say UCLA's in the Big Ten? Yes, that's weird. But Carson Schlesinger is a head hunter, and he's strong. He's physical. He can move. He can cover. He can rush. Like I think I think he's a great pickup for the Cleveland Browns. He'll fit right in there. And I think the tight end's pretty decent. And you got Judkins right up the street. Like if you look at their draft from the beginning, it's like awesome draft, like A+. You get another pick for next year, then all of a sudden we get to the quarterback situation. It's like you go draft Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round. What? That's already a head scratcher, right? We've listed out all the quarterbacks. I'm not saying Dylan Gabriel is not a good quarterback. I think he's had a fantastic career. Like the dude's really, really good. But then you go get another guy in the 5th round in Shedeur Sanders. And we've all heard, about this fall for Shedeur. So, but like, regardless, like just the strategy of that makes no sense to me. It's like, great draft. Now it's like, what the heck? It feels like a very Cleveland Browns thing to do to me.
Yeah, it was a champagne move with a Kool-Aid finish. It was just like they had it all figured out. Because if you look at those first 3 picks, you're like, all right. I mean, there were some edge rushers out there. I thought maybe edge rusher early 2nd round, but yeah, that's a little bit of a head scratcher. And that's why I tend to believe that was Jimmy Haslam calling down saying, hey, 5th round, we're going this direction.
Jay, talk to me about, they go through rookie minicamp. Okay, whatever. Now they go in. Now we're with the whole team. It's OTAs. And we've got 5 quarterbacks sitting right here. Like, tell me the dynamic of that room and what are you doing?
Well, you're not counting Deshaun as one of those 5, are you?
No.
Okay,
4.
So they got 4. So
then they got to figure out what they're going to do with Deshaun too.
It's very unfair to the quarterbacks, really. I remember Colt, my last year with Washington when we had you, Dwayne, and Case Keenum, and trying to get all you guys reps. It's damn near impossible. It's unfair. I mean, now you got a 40-year-old Joe Flacco. You got Pickett trying to get some reps, and then you got your 3rd-round pick, Dylan Gabriel, trying to get a rep. And Shedeur, get in here, get a rep. And it's
But there's got to be a tier, right? It's got to go probably Flacco, then Pickett, and those 2 need to get a bunch because one of those is going to be your starter. Then you got to
evaluate the rookies. I mean,
who you both drafted. Like, how do you can't even evaluate them in rookie camp because they're splitting reps.
Yeah, and you say let these guys develop. Well, how are they going to develop? They're standing there on the sideline watching these other guys play. So it's not fair. Hopefully they make a move with Pickett or Dylan Gabriel or something like that and get down one more quarterback so they can manage the reps a little bit better. But maybe in rookie OTAs they'll see that Gabriel or Shedeur's significantly better than one of the others, so they can kind of.
Yeah, but I would say when you go into camp, right, you're getting your starter as many reps as you can, and that's already a competition. Then you go, and there is a hierarchy. Like Dylan Gabriel's gonna take reps before Shedeur. He got drafted in the 3rd round, right? They hold him higher. I mean, Shedeur was there in the 3rd round. They could have taken him. So it's like Shedeur is like gonna get nothing.
Yeah, I think it's important. These preseason games will become very important for both Gabriel and Sanders and for the Browns, not to mention, but if they perform well, they might be good trade bait in a year or 2. You know what I mean? To have everybody's looking for quarterbacks. If they perform well in the let's say Shedeur has a great preseason game, they might get some calls and you know what I mean?
If Mel Kiper was the general manager, he'd give you a 1st-round pick for
Mel Kiper. I've never seen anything like that now. Damn, Mel.
He was on payroll.
Golly. Anyway, but yeah, it's a unique situation. It's not going to be fair for Shedeur or Dylan trying to make an NFL team with the limited amount of reps they're going to get. But they're going to have to make the most out of it. That's just the way it is. If you only get 5 reps a day, you better do the damn good on those 5 reps. And the next day you might get 10. So hopefully it'll work out for all of them. But it was surprising when Gabriel went ahead of Sanders. That's for damn sure.
Very surprising.
All right, so they kind of screw up and maybe botch. I got Dylan Sampson, the great running back out of Tennessee as well. I'm going A for Cleveland Browns, adding in the 1st and the 3rd they get next year as well as a part of the package here. What do you guys think?
I mean, forget next year's. I mean, I think they nailed their first 4 picks. I mean, you can sit there and say, obviously, what could have been with Travis Hunter, but you're still getting a damn good player in Graham, and then you get maybe the best linebacker in the draft, him and Campbell from Alabama. You get a hell of a running back from Ohio State, and the tight end is awesome. I watched the tight end live whenever Penn State played Bowling Green early in the season, and then he might have been the best player on the field that day. He was incredible.
It's another one, Sampson and Judkins. I mean, and they got that's a weird dilemma too, because Sampson's not really a 3rd down back. He's a between the tackles runner. He's a little guy from Tennessee, but he's a physical runner. He's not much of a route runner. Obviously, Judkins is a 1st or 2nd down back too, so that's a little bit of a head scratcher too. Ford is another one, probably going to be their 3rd down back, but. They drafted 2 quarterbacks and drafted 2 running backs that are kind of alike, so it's kind of a weird deal for me. I can't give them an A. Hell, I can't give anybody an A right now. You don't get an A, Cleveland. Sorry, Justin. You don't get somebody an A.
You give somebody an A. The first
Buffalo got an A.
Yeah. On cue, AQ. He does exactly what he said he never does. He doesn't flip-flop.
Mr. Wishy-Wash. Yeah.
All right, well, I'm looking at a team next in the Pittsburgh Steelers that had every opportunity to draft Shedeur Sanders as well. They ended up going Will Howard in the 6th round. Maybe they would have gone Shedeur if he was there, but they had first-round pick, took Derek Harmon. Their 2nd-round pick is DK Metcalf. 3rd-round pick, Caleb Johnson, running back from Iowa. And then the 4th-round pick was Jack Sawyer from Ohio State. And they went D-line, Will Howard, like I mentioned, and then a linebacker from Washington and a defensive back from Central Michigan. How are we feeling about the Steelers here?
That's your
Pretty
team,
good.
AQ.
Yeah, I like this draft. I really did. Derek Harmon, you're playing a lot of potential with him. I think he's got a ton of talent. Left a lot of plays to be had in his college career. There was a lot of times where he was in position to make plays and just didn't make them. Pretty wild story that he went through. Obviously, thoughts go out to him and his family. Pretty wild story. I mean, you go from super high to kind of low pretty quick, but looking forward to the Steelers and that Pittsburgh community wrapping their arms around him. That'll be pretty cool. Caleb Johnson, I think this is a good fit for Arthur Smith. He's a one-cut back, right? It's a zone scheme, one-cut, get downhill type of back. And then they addressed, obviously, Cam Hayward getting old, and they got some guys on the D-line where they need to fill some of those voids, and they addressed that. They go get Jack Sawyer, who's a damn good college football player. We'll see how he translates. And obviously, Yahya Black from Iowa, which I think is probably the heir apparent to Cam Hayward. Again, this is another one of those things where you talk about best player available versus need. This is why Pittsburgh, Baltimore, typically Green Bay, the team, Kansas City, Philadelphia in most cases, a lot of times, right? Like the teams that continue success over and over again usually draft for need because they're just replacing guys with aging guys going out of the building. And I think that's what Pittsburgh does as good as anybody. Typically you watch James Harrison walk out the building and TJ Watt walks in. And so I think when you look at this draft, I think they did a damn good job just filling need for down the road.
Yeah, having Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell as running backs on your roster, you got to have a first and second down powerful guy with some big legs in Pittsburgh, and they got one. So he's a big physical back, which is good. Now, what's the issue here with the Pittsburgh Steelers? It's got to be Aaron Rodgers. He's got to be coming, right?
Has to be.
I mean, but even if you get Aaron Rodgers, don't you think it's worth more than a 6th-round pick to throw someone else into the mix there? Besides Mason Rudolph.
Will Howard's a good pick, and he's a good player. He won a national championship, Justin. What else do you want him to do in his college career? He's pretty damn good. He's smart as hell. He's a great competitor. He can run. They got Skylar Thompson. He did wonders at Miami last year for Tua when he came. Just kidding. But Mason Rudolph is a good player. I mean, he just needs he's one of these guys I think is going to continue to get better with time too. He's going to get better and better.
It's like a fine wine. All right, Will Howard,
like a nice
Mason Rudolph.
Mason Rudolph, yeah, he'll get better as a backup
for like 10 years.
He hadn't been that long.
Who are you comparing to a fine wine? I thought it was Will Howard. Mason Rudolph is what you're saying.
Mason Rudolph, more experience. I think the more confidence he's going to get. Went to Tennessee for a little bit. Didn't work out so there.
Mason Rudolph is like a fine wine, is what you're saying.
He could be like like a Baker Mayfield, maybe finally gets another opportunity. He's going to thrive.
Like Geno
Smith. Let's go.
Okay,
You never know.
There we go.
I think it could happen. I do. No quarterback was going to go to Tennessee last year and be successful. It just wasn't going to happen. So getting him back in the building, and people in Pittsburgh like Mason Rudolph. Teammates love him. Coaches love him. He was there forever. Got drafted there. I think he's a good player. Maybe he does come out and have a great year this year if Aaron doesn't show up. I like the end of I like the Steelers draft. I really do. Like Derek Harmon, he's a good player, but go down the list. Caleb Johnson probably would be for 3rd round to get your first and second down back. Great pick. Jack Sawyer, good, solid, high motor, good football player.
Try hard white guy. You can call like he's plays,
though. I mean, he's the reason that Ohio State won the national championship. The play he made at the end of the semifinal game, ran it back for a touchdown. Yahya Black, good player. Watched him play at Iowa a couple of times. Just a strong interior defensive lineman, like fits right into their scheme. Will Howard, national championship quarterback, could grow into something like big, strong, physical, can run the football. Needs to get a little bit better in his accuracy, especially down the field. But great value to get him in the 6th round. Carson Bruner. You guys remember his dad was a tight end at Pittsburgh? Mark Bruner, good football player. To get him in the 7th round, I think he's been the middle linebacker at the University of Washington for the last 5 years. Like, the dude's a good football player. I think that's a great pickup. If he plays special teams for the next 7 years in Pittsburgh, you got him in the 7th round at pick 226.
Congrats, Steelers! You got a teamer.
Yeah.
You got a teamer on your hands.
You're getting value here.
That was my exact pick to Pittsburgh, round 7, pick 226. That was when I was drafted. Just so you guys were wondering.
That's okay. Carson
Let's
Bruner.
go.
He went on the AQ Shipley pick. All right, I like that.
So,
all right,
I think if you're asking me how the Steelers did, obviously their biggest need going into this season is what? Quarterback, right? But if you look at where they got their picks and the value of those picks, I give them an A.
An A. Damn,
Yeah.
I was saying no quarterback. I mean, I was going to go. I was going to go C range.
Okay, say that you already know that Aaron Rodgers is there. Say you know that we don't know, but say you did know. Then how would you grade him?
I'm just not in love with any of the guys they drafted. That's all I'm going to say. Like you guys told me, Caleb Johnson is like a little bit slower, 4.6 guy.
But I'm thinking about the draft. Like that's who was available, and now you I think he's a good player. Like he's a good player. He led the Big Ten in rushing 2 years in a row. Like dude's
You got to think about need. They fill needs everywhere on these picks. Everywhere.
I like Derek Harmon. Right behind Cam Hayward. I love that pick. But after that, I'm struggling to see what you guys are seeing here. So before this video takes 3 hours for us to film, do we want to just throw a grade? I mean, Colt goes A, I go C. Where's
you can't look at all the experts' drafts. Everybody's going to be different. Most experts say this was like a C plus or like a B minus draft. I'm looking at it like value for their picks. They only had 7 picks. Like who they picked in each spot, like was good for their team. I think it was a pretty decent draft for them.
Thought it was a good draft too. I thought it was a B minus.
Jay, we know Jay's not giving him an A. Jay, where do you have this falling?
I give him a D. I don't like it. I'm not a big Derek Harmon fan. I think he plays high too much. He's okay. Caleb Johnson, to me, I think was a lower end running back. I know he played good at Iowa, was a tough kid, but he doesn't really have that elite speed. He doesn't have that elite contact balance. He's a big kid, has decent vintage. He's
crazy.
All right, so we have an A, a B, a C, and a D.
I give him a D.
How do you lead the Big Ten in rushing and you don't have good contact balance?
I just don't like him. I don't like him, Colt. I don't like him that much.
It's a D. We hit every grade on the scale there.
Ask him tomorrow; it'll be a B.
Well, Underdog's newest NBA playoff promo, The Extender, you can play your way to increasingly bigger boosts each round of the playoffs. Start a playoff series by using your Game 1 boost, and then continue boosting each subsequent game to unlock the next one. The longer the series, the bigger the boost. If those series go to 7, you can secure a huge win if your pick hits. Underdog is the best place to make picks during playoff basketball. So what are you waiting for? Head to Underdog app and use the promo code POCKET during the NBA playoffs. All right, we're going to the Houston Texans. They had no first round pick. Second round, they come in Jaden Higgins. They go with AQ's sleeper O-lineman, Ariante Irsay from Minnesota, Jalen Noel from Iowa State. Apparently, if your name was Jalen, they just drafted you. They also got Jalen Smith, defensive back from USC. So what do we think about the Houston Texans? No first round pick this year, trading back.
I like their draft. Yeah, I think both those receivers from Iowa State are pretty damn good. They got an inside slot player. With Tank Dell's injury and uncertainty, it's a big need for them. They got a bigger guy with Higgins, and they got the littler option route runner, middle of the field type guy. CJ Stroud will like both these guys a lot, I think. And I really like that tackle from Minnesota, man. I don't know, AQ, if you graded him or not, but I did some work on him, and I really, really liked him. Obviously, losing Tunsil to Washington, they had a need there at left tackle. So, yeah, and Woody Marks, a running back from USC, is a hell of a player to complement Joe Mixon. I mean, they're very similar in style, kind of, but I love the way he plays. He's got good vision, a good back, explosive. So, yeah, and the rest of the guys, I'm not really sure about Hamilton from Rutgers or the tight end from Iowa, but if he's from Iowa, I assume he's a good blocker because they had a great running back behind him fighting the holes. Right, AQ?
That's
Caleb
right.
Johnson?
That's exactly right.
They can't throw the football in Iowa. It's against the rules. You got to run the football.
Yeah, so they
got a good history for tight ends, too. They got a good history. They addressed a big part of their offensive line with a tackle. They got 2 good receivers that can do a lot of different things. They got another running back, and obviously the cornerback from USC I don't really know a lot about, but pretty solid.
All right, what's the grade? Jay
C.
gets this one.
C. C+. I'll throw a plus on there.
All right, the Houston Texans get a C+. Unless anyone now we're just moving on. The Colts. The Colts are just sitting there at 14, hoping if someone gets there. And Tyler Warren falls right into their lap. They get JTT, the edge rusher from Ohio State. Justin Wiley, defensive back from Minnesota. List goes on and on. Who wants to take on the Colts right now? Who's ecstatic to talk about the Colts? AQ, you also are a Colts guy too.
A.
Yeah, it's because I like this draft. I do. I really like this draft. I think.
How do you not like Tyler Warren? Come
exactly.
on, man.
And when you looked at this draft and when you looked at the first 15 picks, I think 95% of America had to sit here and be like, Tyler Warren's going to the Colts.
Yeah.
Like, This was like the one pick where the player matched the city and the team, and the city and the team matched the player. And this is perfect. The problem is they got to figure out their quarterback situation to get him the ball. But you get JTT
they
in the
have
second.
figured out their quarterback situation.
Relax.
It's going to be Daniel Jones. Come on, man.
Relax
he can
over
run
there.
the football
Relax.
just as good as anybody that plays quarterback. He's got a tight end. He's got a couple weapons. I think they're going to be just fine. Tyler Warren's going to make a big difference. And if he can't play, then Tyler Warren will play quarterback.
There you go. So are we saying A for the Colts?
Hell yeah. Tyler Warren and JT. JT's one of the better defensive ends in this draft from a ability to play both the run and rush the passer. I'm telling you, this guy's going to be a good player. Trust me.
I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying he's not. You want to take him like 19th
The
overall.
running back from Kansas State is pretty damn explosive now. Giddens is a hell of a back. I think that is a steal. Tim Smith is a good defensive lineman. Riley Leonard to come in there, the leadership, his ability to run the football and throw it and develop.
Listen to this.
I mean,
okay.
A plus.
B+. All right. Jacksonville Jaguars. They move up to take Travis Hunter second with James Gladstone, the 34-year-old. Everyone's calling him a prodigy. We're about to find out. Really, it's how do you grade that trade and Travis Hunter on the Jags, whether you're giving them an A or a D or an F. I don't know. Who wants to take on this one? Who feels like Travis Hunter was worth moving up and giving all that up for? Jay seems pretty Colt.
Yeah.
Is it an A for the Jags?
Yeah, for sure. This new coach, new GM, right? Yeah. Who's the best player on the board? They obviously thought it was Travis Hunter. Let's go up and get him. I think it could be beneficial for either way they want to go. Could he play
the
corner?
One guy.
Could he play receiver? Yeah, I bet there's no way he doesn't get some reps at receiver if he's not a full-time receiver. There's just no way.
It's 130 degrees, though, in September in Jacksonville. It's going to be a little hard for him to play both ways.
Right. They'll ease him into it. Ease him into it.
But just like you know about Travis, I think the key is what you're saying, Justin, is the price worth it? And I think when you have the ability to take a guy that can help two rooms, I think it's worth it, really.
Okay. So are we going A for the Jaguars?
I just think, okay, we lose our first round pick next year, but we could either take Mason Graham or Travis Hunter. I think let's go ahead and trade it. We'll take Travis. So yeah, I think it's a good move by Jacksonville. I think it's a good move for Cleveland for a lot of different reasons. Both teams got what they wanted out of it, but I think Travis Hunter to help the quarterback will be huge. And Brian Thomas Jr. on the other side to give him some relief will be big time for him. The rest of their draft, I think,
they got your guy, Jay. They got Tootin.
Tootin. Into your buddy's agents?
Yeah. My agent represents him.
Yeah, he's an explosive guy. Ran good at the combine. You know, he tested better than he actually looks on tape. So I'm not too excited about that tape or that guy. But I like Jack Kaiser from Notre Dame, though. He's a playmaker, tough kid. Reads defense or offense as well. Has good reaction time. Tackles well. So yeah, they got some players. But the big one is obviously Travis Hunter. How much of an impact can he have right away? And it better be big. It better be huge, Travis. You better be rookie of the year, Travis.
Jay, when you look at this, how often will teams look forward to the next draft class? Like Cleveland clearly said, we think the 2026 draft class might be a little more talented. We'd rather have 2 first-round picks that year. How far out are you scouting?
You know, that's the scouts are, because they're looking at juniors and they're getting all the measurements and all that stuff. So they have a pretty good idea. The draft portal kind of screws everything up because you don't know where they're going to be, but they know if there's going to be some really, really good players coming out. We obviously know there's going to be one from the University of Texas, right, Colt?
Could be.
Now, Colt's going to convince him to go back for another year. Arch Manning we're talking about here, clearly.
Yeah, he's a stud, man. Who knows what will happen there?
Who beat him out last year?
A 7th round pick.
7th round pick, huh? Something's up with that, Colt.
He shouldn't have been a 7th round pick. He shouldn't have been.
All right. Well, the Jags.
Hold on. Going down the list, did you guys ever evaluate Jonah Monheim, the tackle from USC? He actually played center at USC.
Played all over the place, yeah.
But he's a really smart football player. Moved into center this last year. It was, in my opinion, did a really nice job. He started for 4 years. I think this guy could come in and contribute as a 7th round pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know how short up their offensive line is. You guys are the experts, but I think this guy could be a decent player.
The other person that I wanted to talk about.
There's definitely a guard spot open. I mean, there's because they went and got McCoy, they got Hainsey. They paid both those guys to be their center and one of their guards. So there's definitely a guard spot open.
Ezra Cleveland is in that spot right now, who's been a player in this league. But it's never bad to have a guy that's had tackle, guard, and center reps under his belt. It is a little bit of a strange situation. They also drafted LaQuinn Allen out of Syracuse. They took 2 running backs when you have Travis Etienne and you have Tank Bigsby. I don't know. Does that signaling to you guys that Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby might be on their way out of Jacksonville?
I think Travis had one of the more disappointing seasons of running back last year at the National Football League. There was high hopes on him being a huge productive player after what he did early in his career. And last year, he just fizzled for some reason. I don't know if he fell out of grace with the coach Peterson there or what, but he is a talented guy. But obviously, they're looking for replacements because they did draft 2 of them. Bigsby is more of a first, second down punishing type guy. So they need some more speed. That's what ETM is supposed to be. So I don't know what the deal is with him. I thought he was pretty good at Clemson and had a really good year at Jacksonville, but last year he fizzled big time.
Jay Gruden saying sell Travis Etienne in your fantasy draft coming up this year on Underdog. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, dropping comments. Who is your highest grade? Actually, what do you grade the Pittsburgh Steelers? We can't seem to figure that one out. Moving right along on the AFC South.
I'm not grading the Steelers a D. I was just joking.
Too late. Nope. Put that. Okay. It's already gone.
C-
it's submitted.
Because they got Will Howard. They got Will Howard. I forgot, so I got to boost them up a grade.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Tennessee Titans #1 pick Cam Ward. They get the edge rusher from UCLA. Thank you. Oladejo. He's a stud. I know he's a stud. I'm sorry. I wasn't prepped for that one. That's on me. It's unprofessional by me. Kevin Winston Jr. He's also, coming off an ACL, but this dude is a beast from Penn State.
I mean, that's crazy that he didn't even play and was a 3rd round pick, right? Like that's pretty crazy that we're not talking about enough, right?
All right. Well, let's talk about him, Q. You lead us off in the Tennessee Titans.
So when I saw him get drafted in the 3rd, I was like, this guy didn't even play. He was hurt the whole year. And he goes in the 3rd. I know he was a damn good player as a junior, but that's pretty awesome for him. I mean, it's also an aggressive move for Tennessee, I feel like. And then their 4th round pick, Gunnar Helm. I know, Colt, you loved him down there. And the 5th round pick, Jackson Slater, interior lineman out of Sacramento State. He was getting a ton of hype as a smaller school offensive lineman. I did not love him because, in my opinion, if you're playing at a level down, whether it's 1AA, Division II, Division III, whatever it is, your tape better be Hall of Fame looking tape at that level, right? You better be absolutely dominant, right? And if you go back and you look at a Ryan Jensen who came from Colorado Pueblo or Earl Watford from James Madison, their college tapes, you could have put them in the Hall of Fame based on their college tape. It was that good. Then that has to be that good in order to get that opportunity at the NFL level, right? And so I did not love this guy as much as, some people were starting to love him, but I think to get him in the 5th round, I think the Tennessee Titans will have a great opportunity to turn somebody into something.
Hey, you know who their O-line coach is, though, right?
Yeah, Jay's buddy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Edit that one out. All right.
You got to respect the Titans. Look, they got what most consider the best player in the draft, Cam Ward, quarterback.
Well,
right?
Travis Hunter is the best player in the draft, right?
He's going to be your #1, franchise quarterback. Build this team around. They've got a long ways to go as a team, but I do think they got a couple of good pickups. I think Gunnar Helm is a solid tight end, good hands, can block, and I think the receiver they got from Stanford is a little bit. That's a good little pick in the 5th round. He has a chance to be on the field quite a bit. So. From a value standpoint, I think it was a decent draft for them. I give them probably a B.
Yeah, I like that. I like B+. You get your franchise quarterback, right? If you get your franchise quarterback and he brings optimism back to the city, you got to go B+, maybe even A-. I don't want to ask Jay. He's going to freak out if I say A ever again. Jay, Any grade here? And then I'm going right to you, AQ.
I'm not a big fan of the wide receivers, really. Dyke is okay at Florida, but the kid from Stanford, say his name, Justin, for me. Alamador?
Sure.
No,
I am Manor.
That's what I said. Anyway, he's a big kid. He looks good. He looks the part when he walks into the room. You're going to be like, that's our guy. Then you watch him on tape. He doesn't really block. He's not a physical guy. He doesn't really run that great. He doesn't attack the football. He's not a natural receiver. Not a huge fan of that pick. It's up to Cam Ward. There's no doubt about it. Can Cam Ward bring the Titans back? And I give him a B. B minus.
All right, there we go. Q.
He did get his receiver from Miami as an undrafted free agent, though. The kid that ran the 5-flat 40. Yeah, that kid. So take that for what it's worth. Give him a solid C. I give him a C.
All right, I'm a B plus, A minus. We're all over the place on the Titans, too. All right, now we're moving on to the AFC West. We're going Denver Broncos. They surprised many of us by going Jahdae Barron, who's a stud. Their defense is just locked down at this moment. We thought maybe running back, maybe receiver. They addressed both those in the following 2 rounds with R.J. Harvey, running back from UCF, and Pat Bryant, wide receiver from Illinois. Who wants to take the Denver Broncos? It seems like they had a pretty good draft, albeit the first-round pick took us by surprise a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, how could that I'll take you by surprise? He's the best person available. He's the best corner in the draft.
Well, you were just thinking maybe there was Travion Henderson at that point where maybe they go for need more than best player available. That's why I always ask that question.
Yeah, I think Jay and I talked about this whole time that there is a plethora of running backs in this draft. And somebody was going to fall in love with each of these guys and feel like if I can get this dude in the second round, I may have a first-round grade on him, but I think he's going to fall to my lap. It sounds like that's what the Broncos and Sean Payton did. They apparently love this R.J. Harvey. I think he's a really good football player. Like there was just a bunch of running backs there. So I think for them and for Vance Joseph to get the top corner in the draft that can play multiple positions that in their scheme of what they try to do, opposite of Pat Surtain, like that's a great pick. Look, you're playing against Patrick Mahomes every week or 2 times a year, right? You got to have a solid defense. You're playing against, the Chargers and their Harbaugh coached offense. Like your defense got to be, they short it up. I think it's a great pick. I really do. I think RJ Harvey will be a really good running back. And after that, who knows? Pat Bryant maybe playing along the other side of Cortland Sutton. Maybe he turns into a good receiver. He's a really good blocker. I think he could be helpful for them. And, so if you look at their first 3 picks, to me, it's like, that's pretty solid.
I just thought, what I say, when you're looking at that team and you're seeing that they have Riley Moss, you're seeing they have Patrick Surtain, I wasn't in my head thinking Jahdae Barron. In no way was that a diss to Jahdae Barron. I mean, we know he was the second best defensive back in the draft behind the unicorn himself, Travis Hunter. I like this draft. I think they did a lot of things they needed to do. I'm throwing a B+ out there. I think they executed.
Who won the Thorpe?
What?
Who won the Thorpe Award as the best cornerback in college?
Jahdae Barron.
I couldn't remember.
You're such an idiot.
That's a Jay Gruden move right there.
See, I thought Denver was going to go. I thought Denver was going to go Henderson in the first round because they wanted to back like Sproles and Kamara, like Sean Payton had at New Orleans. They went Barron instead, knowing in the second round they could go get their Sproles guy and RJ Harvey. I mean, this guy's pretty explosive. Now, the only issue with him is he probably had a medical on a lot of teams' boards. He's had a couple injuries, but when you watch him on tape, man, he's fun to watch now. He is quick as a cat, and he's a good pickup. And it's Pat Bryant from Illinois. He's a good receiver, too. He's very productive at Illinois despite not having great quarterback play. I think it's going to be him and Sutton. Yeah, I think it's a good draft for him. I think they addressed a major need with the running back issue, a third down back. They added another weapon to their secondary, which makes them very scary to go against if you're an opposing quarterback. So, yeah, I give it a pretty good grade. Solid.
AQ, they did draft a punter.
Did they draft a punter?
I actually saw when they drafted him, and I was watching the highlights. Just kick and boom the ball. So I guess, I think you get him in the 6 or 7.
Denver, that ball carries a little bit farther.
Carries a little further, but I don't know if any of you guys saw Sean Payton talking about this Pat Bryant, the wide receiver. He was gushing over him. I watched a whole thing on it this morning. I mean, there was a 2.5, 3 minute clip of him talking about Pat Bryant and comparing him to Michael Thomas, saying identical traits. Now, will he become Michael Thomas? Obviously, time will tell. But Sean Payton seems super pumped about that pick, comparing him to Michael Thomas and all the traits that they so much, say that they have the same. But, who knows if he ends up being the same player. But I think when you look at Jahdae Barron and you get him in the third round and you get a D lineman in the third round as well, you get another edge guy in the fourth. Listen, again, they went for need. They addressed their need, and they got good players. That's all you can ask for in a draft, right?
I still think, this is my opinion, but I still think if Colston Loveland was on the board at 20, that's the pick they go.
I was surprised because Omarion Hampton, he went 2 picks later to the Chargers. He would have fit that scheme perfectly, wouldn't you say, Jay?
Yeah, but like I said, I think Sean was looking for more of ways to attack defenses on the perimeter with the receiving type part of it and outside, not another headbanger between the tackles. I know Hamptons can do a little bit of both, but I think he wanted more of a different pace guy, and that's why they took RJ.
Jay, could you give us a quick sound of which type of player Sean Payton wanted? Like, what's the sound the player
He didn't
made?
want the bang type guy. He wanted the beep, 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 beep.
Yeah, exactly. I knew
right?
you had that.
Yeah.
All right, so we all like what the Denver Broncos do. Is B plus fair to say, or are we going A?
B.
Yeah, B plus.
B plus. All right, Kansas City Chiefs. I think they got the sleeper in Josh Simmons. I think they end up walking away from the draft with the best tackle in the draft. Yes, he's a little banged up. He had the patella tendon, but he's going to come back and he's going to be a starter for them for 10 years once he's healthy. So I just thought that was a home run pick by them. The Chiefs addressed the position. They paid Dan Moore Dan Moore? No, who'd they pay?
Dan Moore.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
From 49ers.
Yeah. No, Dan Moore.
No, you're right.
Pittsburgh.
Jalen.
I'm going to look it up.
Jalen Moore.
Jalen Moore. There it is.
Okay, Jalen Moore. Whoever they paid, the left tackle they paid. We look like a bunch of fucking idiots now. That's always good.
I got it right.
I still am not 100%.
Don't ever say the word "we" when you're saying idiots.
There's 2,000 players in the NFL. We can't remember every name. Let's remember that.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah, you know how many guys were in the draft? Right. Think we remember all these guys?
That's right.
It was Jalen Moore, but I think Josh Simmons will unseat him here eventually. So for the Chiefs, for me, just getting a player like that, they got some D linemen in there. I think they had a really, really good draft. Is there anything really we want to talk about with Kansas City here?
Well, they're going to have to expect these guys to play early, especially the defensive tackle from Tennessee, Norman Lott, because Wharton got let go or as a free agent and they lost some key pieces there. So they're going to need some help on defense, and they addressed it, with Gillette from Louisville, the best a man can get. Gillette, the best a man can get. Anyway, again, there's probably better players on the board, but they drafted for need. Obviously, they needed defensive guys because they took a beating in free agency. They also lost a safety, and they did not address the safety spot. But overall, you like Josh Simmons, right?
Yes.
Justin?
Love.
You thought he was going to be the first tackle taken?
Third tackle taken, but yeah.
You thought he was going to be first. I remember saying it.
Sorry. Moving on to the Las Vegas Raiders. We got our grades. We're moving on. Ashton Genty, Jack Beck, Darian Porter, Caleb Rogers. They had Charles Grant, the William & Mary offensive tackle. He's a stud. AQ, how are we feeling about the Las Vegas Raiders and their identity that they established in the draft?
Love the Raiders. Got to plug the trainer for Charles Grant, AQ Shipley with the big get with the third round pick to the Las Vegas Raiders. I love Charles Grant. I love Caleb Rogers. I love exactly what John Spytek did. He said, we're going to change the culture. We're going to run the football, period. Hey, let's go get a running back. He gets his receiver because they need a receiver in the second round. And then after that, they go offensive tackle. They get a receiver, another D-line. They get 2 quarterbacks and a linebacker.
We're going to ask Colt about that.
Yeah, they're just changing the culture. That's what they're doing. Now, again, I don't know why they go 2 quarterbacks, late back-to-back picks, basically. But Cleveland did the same thing at some point.
They saw the Browns do it. They're like,
I think one of those quarterbacks is a receiver.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I think the kid from Montana State is he's an athlete. Played quarterback, but could play a couple of different positions.
Julian Edelman. That's Julian Edelman.
This is a little bit different, right? You're talking about quarterbacks that played in 1AA or whatever, or maybe that's not a shot at Montana State and North
FCS.
No, he's actually written down as a wide receiver.
He is written down. Yeah, one of those was
on Jay's big board.
I think just going to get Ashton Genty at the 6th pick is like, hey, we're putting our stake in the ground. We're going to get this dude. We're going to run the football just like AQ said. I think the receiver from TCU is a good player, solid, dependable, good hands. And then you draft for need after that, getting a couple of tackles. If one of those guys hits, you win, right? You're it's a success.
Right. They're an A.
Yeah, I'd give him a B plus, A minus. Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, I think their top 3 picks are outstanding. I think Porter's a hell of a corner. I love the receiver from TCU. He's tough as hell. He runs good routes. He's got strong hands. It's just a tough guy. And then, of course, the running back is perfect. So, yeah, I think you got to give him an A. I mean,
wow, consensus A for the boys.
I love the wide out. I love the back. These are 2 players that are going to come in immediate positive impact on your football team and a starting corner. So that's hell of a good. You guys mentioned Grant, possible starting tackle. So, hell. That's a hell of a draft.
Well, we like it. Now let's move on to Harbaugh, and that is Jim Harbaugh that we're talking about. Round 1, they go with Amarian Hampton. We thought he was going to go to the Denver Broncos. Trey Harris, wide receiver, Ole Miss. Jamari Caldwell, D-line from Oregon. We can talk about more. Rondé Gatson, Syracuse. Got to throw that plug in there. LA Chargers, I'm not as much in love with this draft. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me it was a great draft and I'm seeing this the wrong way, someone.
I agree with you. I thought it was a C draft, but again, he got his running back. So, like at the end of the day, that's what the draft is. You got to go get pieces, and he got his pieces. Obviously, the other guys are pieces that they need too. They clearly need receivers, other than just one guy, right? And so they don't love the kid from TCU a couple years ago that had all the drops last year, and so you go out and get a couple receivers, and hopefully that shores it up. So you go there. You're just solving needs, and it's hard for us to sit here and be like, right now, okay, they screwed this one up. But in their minds, it's like, okay, we solved our needs. They got their running back. They got some receivers. They got some edge guys. They lost Bosa, right? So they solved some needs, and only time will tell. But, I mean, I think when you look at this, there's nobody flashy. It's a C for me.
Yeah, I'm with you on a C.
They needed offense, man. They got a running back, and they got a receiver to complement Ladd McConkey. Right. So if he turns out to be a really good receiver and, a day one kind of, starter, this draft could turn into being more like a B plus.
He did have 1,000 yard goal too.
Kind of like just like an whatever.
Yeah.
Martin Hanson's pretty good. Yeah.
Jay, here's a question for you. So whenever obviously scouts and GMs are sitting here looking at this, they're hoping for 7 contributors. Obviously, hopefully maybe 1 or 2 of them starters right away, and then 7 contributors. Right. And like, you as a coach, when you approach the draft, what are you expecting from the draft? How many people do you want to see be able to play right away? Like, are you expecting anything?
Hell yeah, we're expecting a lot.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, that was good. Hey, clip that one, Jack. Let's get that out there for the people.
How many?
I want 4 or 5 of these sumbitches to play. I mean, damn, at least.
Okay.
Then you want some core backups. I mean, when you come into a franchise, unless you have a team that's already really good, like Philadelphia, you're not going to get 4 starters because they're really damn good from top to bottom. If you're taking a roster that was 4 and 13 over, you better get 4 or 5 starters, right?
There you go.
At least.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey,
now,
Jay, do you want to?
Now the Chargers, now they're not going to get 4 or 5. Trey Harris will be a starter. Amari Hampton will be a starter. Him and Najee will probably flip or split time. But yeah, so they might sneak in another. Rondé Gadsden's not going to start. He's a wide receiver. That's your boy, Justin Pugh.
Don't be disrespectful.
They'll be. But yeah, Trey Harris is a good player. So they get a couple starters out of that, a couple backups that will eventually grow into starters.
Jay, we got a question for you. Can you do the plug for us? Can you let the people at home know to like and subscribe to the channel? Can you give us that?
Why do I got to do that?
I just think you're best fit for it.
Oh, let's
we
rock, paper, scissors for it.
All right.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Boom, boom, boom.
You win. You got it.
No, a loser takes it. Go, Jay. Like and subscribe.
Hit like and subscribe. If you like our channel, if you like our content, you probably turned it off by now because Justin is a long-winded talking son of a gun. But if you are still on here, for any reason, hit like and subscribe.
If you're still here, if you're still alive, bark twice if you're in Milwaukee. All right, we're moving on to the NFC East. We're going Dallas Cowboys. We all dislike Tyler. We love Tyler Booker. We just didn't love the value taking him 12. Jay, Cowboys, quickly, let's rank them. Let's start buzzing through some of these teams. America's team.
Ezaraku made it up for it because he's a good pass rusher. I don't know how he lasted that long to 44, which is crazy to me. One of the most polished pass rushers in the draft, I thought. So it made up for the Booker pick. They still never really addressed their linebacking situation, which I cannot believe. They got James out of Florida. Maybe that'll be a guy that can come in there and compete for the starting job. I really like this cornerback from East Carolina. This guy is long and can run. So, yeah, he's had some injuries, but this was a hell of a third-round pick. So, second and third-round pick, outstanding. First-round pick, if you like guards, good pick.
How is the morale in Dallas-Fort Worth area right now, Colt?
I think fine. I think Jay nailed it. I think getting the second and third round picks here are starters for you, and they're good players. I think it's just if you're at the 12th pick, man, unless you have like a known commodity at guard that's like a top 10, sure, like got to go get them, take them. But at 12, you got so many opportunities to go get a dynamic game changer, right? Do I think Tyler Booker is going to be a good player? Yeah, hopefully for the Cowboys, he's the starting guard for the next 10 years, and then it's great. And I think he can be. But you're talking about like what's available for you at this moment. And they could have gone and got anybody they want, right? And they just take a guard who you guys, as our in-house offensive lineman specialist, didn't even think was the best guard. So for me, that's a hard pick to take at number 12. But if you look at their first three picks, they get three starters. It's okay. I give it a B.
They might have been sitting in a draft room like this. We're going to take Ted McMillan. We're going to take Ted McMillan. And all of a sudden, Carolina 9 takes McMillan. They're like, oh, shit. Now what do we do? Let's take the guard.
They had 15 minutes to figure it out, and they couldn't figure it out. All right, I'm going C- for the Dallas Cowboys.
We forgot about your boy Jaden Blue, Colt. That's another good pick for him.
He's a great running back.
This guy is a fun player to watch.
He is.
I love that pick. I'm going C just because of the first pick. But the second, third, fourth pick, fifth pick, those are good picks.
Yeah,
and I know one of the guys picked Will McClay over there did a good job. I just don't like the Tyler Booker pick. Nobody's going to convince me that at 12 you're taking a guard. Nobody. Even though I took a guard at 5 when I was at Washington.
Well, there we go. Add it again.
Tackle in your defense. But Jaden Blue's a dynamic running back out of the backfield. He's got good hands. Nightmare matchup on option routes. Tackle him in the open field. He's a good player. That's a good pickup in the fourth round.
Fifth round, I think they got him. I mean, look, the running back was a deep class this year, so Dallas Cowboys needed a running back, so they addressed that. I'm still going C-. All right, let's move on to the New York Giants. There was talk about them taking a quarterback at 3. They trade up into the first round. They get Abdul Carter, the best pass rusher in the draft. They get Jackson Dart, who, Jay and Cole, would you say he was your second quarterback on your board? Maybe Tyler Shuck?
I liked him. I thought there was Cam Ward, and I thought there was about 6 quarterbacks that somebody was going to fall in love with and go draft. And Jackson Dart was in that. Shador, Quinn, Shuck, Will Howard. Like I kind of put all those guys in that area.
So maybe Dart was a bit of a reach. Then you're saying here at 25, or you're if you like your guy, go get him.
Clearly, the Giants needed to take a quarterback, right? Yeah. And they were they evaluated every single one of them, and they liked Jackson Dart out of that crew that I just talked about. And I don't think it's a bad pick. And I do like the fact that they jumped back up in there and got him, because they probably felt like the rest of the league had him as the number 2 quarterback as well. And so if you like a guy, go get him. I'm not mad at this. I think the Giants had a pretty decent draft. You go get Abdul Carter, difference maker. You jump back in there at 25, good value for Jackson Dart. If he becomes your starter for the next 10 years, like that's great value. Right?
They only gave up 2 third-round picks to jump up, and the pick right after them, 26 for the Rams pick, they gave up a future first-rounder to jump up a few slots and get up there. So if you look at what they traded for Jackson Dart, it's not as steep as some other teams have paid for a pick later.
Yeah, and don't get it twisted. Who did these boys get in the 4th round?
Cam Scatterboo.
Hey, I think that's three great players in this draft. To me, the Giants did an awesome job. Good draft.
What are you putting on this? Because I know I'm our Giants guy.
I'll give it an A, 100%, because you're not even talking about two other guys. Like I think they nailed the first round. Darius Alexander from Toledo is awesome. He is awesome.
Athletic.
Go watch his film. Like he's very good. And Marcus Embo from Purdue is very good. He's a Midwestern farm boy from Purdue. Like he big, strong. Like he's going to be able to probably have a chance to compete early there too. So you look at their 1, 2, 3, 4, their first 5 picks. I don't know much about the last two, but I think they absolutely nailed their first 5 picks. I give them an A.
I'll give you a fun note. Thomas Fadone was actually ranked ahead of Brock Bowers coming out. He had 2 ACLs back-to-back years, which just kind of dropped him off everyone's board. But he has talent. It's just a matter of how's that knee holding up. I think the New York Giants, look, I saw the draft and saw Abdul Carter, and you're like, you get a guy like that, a blue chip player. It's definitely an A in my opinion as well. Jay, nothing to say.
I got to say something.
No, you don't. We're moving on to the Philadelphia Eagles.
In the draft. So yes, they traded up to get their quarterback of the future. So that's outstanding. They got Cam Scatterboo. I mean, you gotta love it. If this guy performs well at a high level, can you imagine how many jerseys he's going to sell? I mean, it's going to be unbelievable. And then you guys mentioned Darius Alexander. So the key is obviously Jackson Dart. He's got a year or two to learn under Russell Wilson, which is good. Let Russell Wilson teach you how to prepare, study the game. Hopefully you guys have some success so you have stability in the building. Dayball's on the hot seat. You know what I mean? If they don't win this year, he'll have to go through a new coordinator and all that stuff. But I think it's a great move by them to try to get a young quarterback in there to be the quarterback of the future. So I think it's a good draft.
I just love that they didn't force something at 3. That's what I was most excited about. All right, now let's move on to the Philadelphia Eagles. Seems like every year a player that might go 15 gets to them at 30, 31, 32, and it happens again this year. They land the best linebacker in the draft, Jahad Campbell from Alabama, who apparently trade talks fell apart. They were going to move up to take him earlier in the draft, ends up making it all the way back to 31. They do trade up 1 spot to get him. Then they get the safety out of Texas. He was a transfer, right, Colt? Makuba?
Yeah, from Clemson.
Yeah, he was. I mean, just seeing a little bit of his film there, he looks like a stud. So,
I think every player in the draft was an eventual transfer. You can't even bring that up anymore. Yeah, he's a transfer. Yeah, he went to 4 different schools. He
all
played
the
6 years.
Were every single one of them.
He's 28 years old. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Now, what do you think about the Eagles draft class here?
I think that they got my guy. That's the guy that the Cowboys should have taken. Jahad Campbell is a hell of a player, and golly, how the hell does he fall right to the Eagles? It's unbelievable. So yeah, hats off to them, and they just continue to get better at the right positions and to get the right kind of guys in there too. This is a hell of a guy. He's a great leader for Alabama. He'll fit perfect right behind those 2 Georgia boys in the middle. So yeah, it's a great pick. And Howie continues to do wonders. Justin, that's your boy, Howie Roseman.
It is a little bit weird that they let Milton Williams go and Josh Sweat, but didn't bring a D lineman in. Like you had Ezeraku there, you had, maybe Mike Green was sitting on the board. It is a little strange they didn't go with D line because Philadelphia's always prided themselves on having 8 starting D linemen. So maybe they messed up by not going D line in the first round.
Well, they got the kid from Nebraska, Robinson, in the 3rd round, so he's a good player.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Sorry. What do you give him? What grade you give him, Jay? We're only doing 1 grade here on out. Jay gets this one.
I think when you draft in 31 or 32, you have a really good team. So that pick at 31 or 32, if you could get a dynamic player at that pick, you got to get a good grade. I'm going to give him a good grade, A-. They got a hell of a player at pick at the end of the first round.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's move on to the Washington Commanders. They only had 5 picks in this draft. They had traded a few of those picks. Now, I'm going to let AQ kick this one off. They went Josh Connerly Jr. Apparently, Cliff Kingsbury said, draft the tackle from Oregon and put it on Adam Peters' desk. And they did just that. AQ, Washington Commanders. Let's kick it off. Josh Connerly.
Yeah, he's played a lot of football. He plays at Oregon. He played against a lot of good competition, a lot of guys that are going to be in the NFL that he'll be playing against as well. But I think when you look at him, he's an athlete. I think he's a finesse guy. I don't think he's a physical guy. And I think I think that division's a physical division, and I think he's going to get some stud rushers. I think there's stud rushers on every team in this league, and I think he's going to struggle to sit on the bull rush. And I think if there's one saving grace for him, he goes to a place where they have an athletic quarterback that can get you out of trouble. I mean, there was plenty of times where you turn on Arizona Cardinals film and there's somebody running free in the backfield and it turns into a 40-yard gain, right? And so I think they have that same type of quarterback in Washington. But for me, Connerly, he's got to get a lot more physical to make up for this pick, in my opinion.
All right.
Is he a starter day one?
No, Andrew Wiley's still a starter.
Yeah, I just don't know where he's going to go, right? Because he was a left tackle at Oregon. They had Coleman, who I think they want to move inside for the time being because Cosme's hurt. So there's just going to be a lot of moving pieces. I think there's going to be musical chairs in Washington for a little bit trying to figure out what the best 5 combination is.
And that's going to lead to the Commanders to struggle a bit, I think. Everyone's going to be super, super high on them. Look, the same thing that happened with the Houston Texans a little bit. They struggled coming out of the gate, that sophomore slump. Colt, anything on the Commanders?
Not really. I would say that we don't talk about late picks that much, but Kane Medrano, the linebacker from UCLA, I think he's a really good pickup. Team captain, fast, physical. I just think, replacing Bobby Wagner next year or the year after, I think and having a guy like that to learn from, I think Kane Medrano can fill that role someday. And to get him in the 6th round, I think is a decent pickup.
All right. I don't have much to say on this one. I don't think this. I'm going to give a very high grade to the Commanders. I'm going to go B-.
Well, anytime you can beef up the offensive line to protect Jaden Daniels, you can't fault them for taking another off. You just can't do it. I wanted them to take an edge rusher. They had to take an edge rusher. I said they didn't. They took another guy to beef up the offensive line for more depth, more opportunities for them to, get past Wiley or Cosme, like you mentioned, or whatever it might be. They have options and different players fill in there. Now, Amos is a hell of a corner now. Yeah, I think 18 pass breakups at Ole Miss. Now you might be able to move Sainristil back inside and have Amos and Lattimore at the corner, which makes their secondary a lot better and have more depth. So those are 2 good picks. And then Lane from Virginia Tech. This guy's an explosive player, man. He runs reverses. He returns punts. He's a fast guy. Ran a hell of a 40 at the combine. So he'll go in nicely with Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel. So now they have another depth receiver piece to help on special teams. So I think the draft is a little bit, and you mentioned the linebacker from UCLA. So not terrible. I'm just surprised that they didn't go defensive line edge guy because they don't have anybody in-house. Dietrich Wise and Armstrong, I just don't think anybody are very good pass rushers.
All right. Well, what are you grading them, Jay? Because we know that your word is Bible there in Washington.
Yeah, I have to give a solid B just because they added depth to the offensive line, which can never go wrong. They added a possible starting corner. I think he was ranked as a 1st-round corner for sure from Ole Miss. So they got him as a steal, and then Lane, the receiver, Virginia Tech. I mean, they only had 5 picks. So
you give him a B. Jay's just trying not to get chirped at the member guest this year in Washington. So he threw a B on the rankings.
B- because they didn't take an edge rusher like I said they should have, but they did take an offensive lineman. All right. They had a chance to get a couple good edge rushers. Mike Green could have got a couple good ones.
It's time to jump back into the NFC North. That means we're going to kick it off with the Chicago Bears. I don't know if that's the team you'd always want to kick off the North with, but they had the 10th overall pick. They want Colston Loveland. Colt, I know you loved him. And they got Luther Burden. Many thought he was a 1st-rounder. Give me your take on the Bears draft haul.
Yeah, everybody thinks this was a weird, they had the 10th pick. Let's go get the best player. Colston Loveland was the best player on their board. Look, compared with Cole Kmet, this is who Ben Johnson wanted. He knows how to use him. He's going to use him just like he did Sam Laporta. He's got receivers around him. It's another good pickup for Caleb Williams. I like the pick. Maybe it was a little bit sooner, but I told you earlier, I think the Broncos are going to jump up and get him at some point if he falls their lap at 20. I knew most teams felt like he was going to be in that 10 to 20 range, I'm guessing. And I think it's awesome. And then they go out and get Luther Burden in the 2nd round. A lot of people didn't like this draft, but for me, they got two weapons that are going to be crucial for Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson in this offense moving forward. I liked the picks. I think the Bears had a nice draft.
Give me your grade.
I give it a solid B. Right. I think they did have some things that they needed to hit. They needed D tackle. They needed probably a lot of people thought running back. AQ had Ashton Genty going to them at 10, and so they didn't really address that. But at the same time, for Ben Johnson and what he wants to do, having Colston Loveland and Luther Burden, that's a big deal. And so for me, I give him a B. I think it's a good draft.
All right, Chicago Bears getting a B. We're going to stay in the division. We're going to the Detroit Lions. They do Tyleik Williams, defensive lineman in the first round. Tate Ratledge, interior offensive lineman from Georgia. AQ, a little bit of a surprise in the first, but how do they do and how do they make up for it later on in the draft?
Yeah, bit of a surprise. I don't think very many people had Williams going in the first round, but he's a damn good football player. And listen, this speaks to the DNA of the head coach and the GM. Brad Holmes, his entire time since he's been there, Dan Campbell, they have preached and preached and preached O-line, D-line, O-line, D-line, O-line, D-line. What do they do with their first 2 picks? They go there again. They lose Zeitler in the draft. In free agency. They go get Tate Ratledge from Georgia. I like Tate Ratledge. He's a damn good football player. SEC, Georgia, he's played against a lot of good competition. He's experienced. You feel good about that pick. Williams, the D lineman,
he looks just like him.
He does. Yeah. So it's a great pick. It fits exactly what they want. But when you look at Williams, I think that was a bit of a panic pick. I think that was a reactionary pick off of last year where they lost their entire defensive line. Half their defensive line is still rehabbing somewhere around this country. I've seen pictures of different guys rehabbing here and there and there. But I think that was a reactionary pick. But I think when you look at them, it's tough to question what they do. Brad Holmes has nailed almost everything he's done since he's been there. And so when you look down, they address what they need. They address what they want. They get some guys, later round picks, guys that can help and step in and hopefully be depth type players for them. And that's exactly what they want to do.
As Jay Gruden would say, they drafted a run-stuffing nose guard there. I would have liked the edge rusher. There were some edge rushers on the board. So I'm not as high on them. All right, give us a grade, AQ.
Yeah, it's a B- or a C for me. And, when you look at that.
Just because you felt like they reached, right? They just reached.
I just thought they were reactionary. It's like
receiver. There's a lot of receivers on the board they could have gone and got. I don't know.
No, I agree. And I think that, to equate it to, our world, it's like whenever you have a trap play and an offensive, coordinator changes the entire blocking scheme because someone made a good play, that's reactionary, right? I think that's exactly what they did right there. You don't change what you need to do based off of a reaction on a 1 year where you just got unlucky. And I think that's what they did. So for me, it's a B- or a C+.
The next team up in the NFC North is the Green Bay Packers. Jay, you love you some Green Bay Packers. How did this draft rank for you for them?
Yeah, I thought it was good. They got the top receiver in the draft and Matthew Golden. He could run. He's a good route runner. I think with Justin Watson's injury, they had to get another guy in there. So I think it's a good pickup. This guy's an explosive player. 4.29 at the combine. A lot to like about him. Colt loves him as a kid. He's going to work hard. Anthony Belton, offensive tackle. He's a huge human. He's just every bit of 6'6", 350. Isn't he, AQ? He's like twice your size. There's 2 AQ Shipleys when he walks into the office, right? Huge. And Williams from TCU, he's a guy that he actually had more rushing touchdowns than receiving touchdowns. So, he's got an opportunity to be a punt returner, a jet sweep guy, a big play type of opportunity guy, a little guy in the slot. And then your buddy from Texas, a defensive end they drafted. He waited till round 4 to get introduced by Roger Goodell. That was pretty cool. He came out as a Packer guy, put his hat on. So I think it's a good, solid draft for him. I think they got to get a little bit bigger in the trenches. I'm hoping they get a better pass rusher. But they addressed a couple defensive line needs in the 5th and 6th. So when you add a receiver with the caliber of Matthew Golden, I think it's going to be a positive draft.
Grade him.
B. B. Just give everybody a B.
Everyone gets a B. I don't know. You gave a D to somebody, the Steelers. All right, we're moving on to the Minnesota Vikings. They went offensive line. They went Donovan Jackson. AQ, how do we feel about the Minnesota Vikings here in this one?
Yeah, I really like this pick, actually. He wasn't really, again, on a bunch of people's first round things. But again, when you look at him, his tape is really good at guard. And then when Simmons went down, he moved out to left tackle and kind of was the saving grace for that team to go and win the national title. I don't think he's a tackle at the next level, hence the fact that they drafted him as a guard. But I think he's going to be a damn good football player. And I love what Minnesota has done. They went and got some guys in free agency. They got Fries. They got Ryan Kelly, both from Indianapolis. They picked him up. They are shoring up. Again, this is another reactionary thing. You give up 7 sacks in a playoff game to the LA Rams, and it's like, nope, that's never happening again. So I like what they've done. They've addressed that need. They didn't have a ton of picks, but I like everything that they did. They go get a receiver from Maryland who's a good football player, played well in the Big Ten. Kobe King, the linebacker from Penn State, he was a captain. He was the green dot. He was the one calling a lot of the stuff this past year. Big physical. I mean, he's a 245, 250-pound linebacker. So clearly they felt like they needed to get beefier, get more physical, and that was kind of what they decided to do on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And the tight end from Pitt is a damn good football player. So I really like this draft. Not a ton of guys, but damn good players.
Beef. That's what the Minnesota Vikings are all about. Can we get a skull clap, everybody? Come on now.
No.
Is that it? No. Does that mean you're giving them an A? Does that mean they get an A, or Jay, you have something to say there?
I don't get an A.
I give them a B plus. I give them a B plus.
They don't get a B plus. Give everybody a B. Guys. They got Kobe King. Just because they drafted another Penn State guy doesn't mean they get a good grade. All right, quit being so biased to your Penn State guys.
It's a B plus. Relax over there.
They get a C plus.
B plus. B plus. AQ
B plus,
gets
you got to have at least 2 or 3 starters in the mix. And
all right, well then that's a great segue into the NFC South and the Atlanta Falcons. Jalen Walker, potentially the best off the ball / edge rusher hybrid. They trade up and get James Pierce. Jay, you know what? I'm going to let you take this one because they did exactly what you said the Minnesota Vikings did.
Last year they didn't address it. They took Michael Penix, and this year they finally did it. They've been the worst pass rushing team over the last 2 years of anybody in the National Football League in one-on-one situations. Now they get Jalen Walker, who I don't know what he is. He's not an edge guy. He can't play full-time a defensive end. He's not a bubble backer. I think I don't know. They'll figure it out. Raheem Morris is a genius, so they'll figure it out. He'll just move him around and every once in a while rush. Maybe sometimes he'll drop and cover, fire zones, but very smart player, obviously. He's going to have to be because they got to use him in different ways. James Pierce had some off-the-field issues, but he's one of the best pass rushers in this draft. Yeah. I think that's a great pickup. There's no doubt about it. I love the safety from Notre Dame. I think this guy is right up there with Malachi Starks as one of the top safeties in college football, and he's smart, good football player. They needed another safety in the mix, and Billy Bowman from Oklahoma, another safety. This is another ball-finding guy. I mean, they got guys
played a lot of football.
They got guys that get after the quarterback, and they got 2 safeties that find the ball. So turnover makers and sack makers is what the Atlanta Falcons did, and I like what they did.
There's a joke in there somewhere.
Turnover makers and ball chasers, ball makers.
You said something about sack guys and ball
balls.
Guys.
Yeah,
there's a joke in there somewhere. But what's the grade? More importantly, for the Atlanta Falcons,
I give them a B. Yeah.
All right, that's a B for the Atlanta Falcons.
The key is
James Pierce. It's got to be James Pierce.
I'm interested to see this Jalen Walker cat play in the National Football League. I'm just interested to see where he plays.
All right, thanks. B. Moving on. Carolina Panthers. A little bit of a questionable pick there with Tetorio McMillan. Tet McMillan, I'm just going to say. They got the edge rusher from Texas A&M. They got another edge rusher from Ole Miss in Princely Uman-Mellon. Nick Skirton. They got some guys there. We thought they would go a little earlier. They got Travis Etienne's brother, Trevor Etienne. Colt, too high for Tet McMillan, 8th overall. Give me your overall thoughts on the Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, they're drafting for need here, and they felt like McMillan was the best safety or the best receiver on the board, so they go get him. That's fine. I mean, I think, if you're going to take a receiver there, pick who you think is the best one. So I'm not going to get mad at them for that pick.
They were drafted for need. They wouldn't have taken White out.
Yeah, obviously they need an edge player. They went and got one from Texas A&M, Nick Scourton, and then they went and got Prince Uman-Mellon, by the way, from Ole Miss.
That was a good one. I like that.
Decent, edge rush guy. So they got 2 of them. And then I like the safety from Ohio State. I think Lathan Ransom. I think he's a pretty good player. He's played a lot of football, won a national championship, was kind of one of the captains on that defense. I liked him a bunch. And so I think overall they drafted how they felt like they wanted to go, and it was clear they need to get a receiver for Bryce Young. Maybe this guy turns into something more than a tall back shoulder guy. I don't know. We'll see.
Ooh.
So
Mike Evans.
I mean, I don't know that I love the Carolina Panthers draft, really. I think they got some pretty decent players in rounds 2, 3, and 4. But at 8, if you want to go get like a dynamic rusher, you could have got a really good receiver in the second round. There was a bunch available. Luther Burden, like these guys that are like who I felt like were still legit, capable starters. And so I would have done it a little bit different. So overall, I give them like a C+, B-, somewhere around there.
I like that. I like the C+. Moving on to the New Orleans Saints, Kelvin Banks in the first round, Tyler Shuck, the 26-year-old phenom quarterback from Louisville. AQ, Kelvin Banks, your favorite tackle in the draft. New Orleans Saints, they're in the Dome. What are we grading these guys?
I thought this was one of the better drafts in the entire league. I thought they nailed the pick. I thought Kelvin Banks was the best tackle in this draft, the most NFL ready. He's able to step in and basically start from day one. Kelvin Banks Jr. will be your left tackle for the New Orleans Saints next year. They get Tyler Shuck. Jay loves him. Colt loves him. He's one of the 2A through 2G, as Colt kind of labeled it. But he's a stud, right? He's 6'5". He's a big quarterback. He's a big arm. He's played 7 years of college football in like 5 different teams. And, he's done a heck of a job. And, he throws a good deep ball. All the things, right? He brings all the intangibles. The big D lineman from Texas, you got to love. Danny Stutzman, Butkus Award finalist. He might have won it. I mean, he embodies everything about college football coming from Oklahoma. Love that pick. And then Devin Neal, the running back from Kansas. Stud. You get in the 6th. He's a stud. So I thought they nailed this draft. And, the other guys will fill in and they'll fit into the team exactly the way that the New Orleans Saints need them to. But I thought there was about 4 or 5 really high-value picks in this draft for them. I give them an A-.
Ooh, A-.
Look at that. AQ Shipley going out on the ledge.
I think they nailed the first 3 picks. I think Broughton is a good defensive lineman who will play a lot. And I think Danny Stutzman's played a ton of football too at Oklahoma. I mean, he was their best player in the SEC. Like that's a good value to pick up him in the 4th round. And then how do you say the tight end from UCLA's name in the 7th? He's a good player.
Tight end from UCLA.
Moliki
Matavale.
There you go. That's good.
I don't think the Saints had a great draft, but maybe we'll agree to disagree on this one. We're going AQ. Would you give him an A?
A-.
All right, now we're moving on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Emeka Egbuka, Benjamin Morrison. AQ still in shock that I didn't love the Saints.
I'm still looking at this.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. I just didn't love it.
Him and Mel Kiper joined at the hip.
Pew Kuiper over here. All right, Tampa Bay Bucks. Jay, thoughts? Emeka Egbuka. I know we were a little critical of them. Benjamin Morrison in the second round.
I think with Chris Godwin was going to have trouble coming back. He had a major injury, so I think that drafting Egbuka is smart as hell. Mike Evans is getting a little bit up there. This is a weapon that you can count on anytime, anywhere, any place. What, you can't hear me? What are you laughing at?
I can hear you.
You 2 days ago, we talked about the first round.
I've had more chances to look at it and decide that I think it's a good pick. I mean, we mentioned Chris Godwin's injury history before. He's coming off a major knee injury. All right?
Why'd they pay him then in free agency? That's my question.
Because he's a hell of a guy. He's been a hell of a loyal player for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's why. Sometimes you take care of guys. Hopefully they rehab and get better. All right. But this guy's an Ohio State high character kid. I like him. Benjamin Morrison is a hell of a corner from Notre Dame, one of the top corners in the draft as well. But the guy you got to really look at is this David Walker cat. Have you seen that guy in a Senior Bowl? This guy is an explosive guy off the edge. He's not big. He's 6'1", but he's powerful, 270 pounds. I think this is a great pass rusher. They needed another pass rusher. And I think this guy, for a 4th rounder, is going to come in and make an immediate impact. So for a 4th round pick, David Walker is the key pick of this draft. If Egbuka obviously will come in and he's going to produce no matter what. Even if Godwin plays, he'll be out there blocking, running routes. He can play inside, outside, and obviously Morrison a starting corner. So I think it's a pretty solid draft.
A?
No, he can't give an A. He doesn't give A's out. What's the grade here?
I think from a high caliber character standpoint, that's an A. Morrison and Ibuka alone are two great people and great players. And you got Parrish, cornerback from Kansas State. Yeah, I think
you're out of your mind.
B plus.
Okay. B plus.
I said B plus. B plus.
All right. We're moving on to the NFC West. We're starting off with the Arizona Cardinals. They make I don't know if it's a splash, but they got Walter Nolan, Will Johnson, Jordan Birch from Oregon, Cody Simon, linebacker for Ohio State. I'm going to say this, guys. I think the Arizona Cardinals hit a home run. There's 3 Arizona Cardinals on here. Jay always corrects us. Colt, Arizona Cardinals, you loving the draft?
Yeah, we can all 3 take this one. Yes, I think the Arizona Cardinals had an awesome draft. They needed a defensive lineman. They get it in round 1. Probably one of the most explosive options there. Athletic, great opportunity for this Walter Nolan kid to be a starter, make an impact day 1. Then you get Will Johnson, who a lot of people felt like he was the best corner in the draft. Had some injuries. I watched him play a couple of times. I didn't think he was better than Jahdae Barron or
Maxwell Harrison. Yeah.
But at round 2, pick 47, that's a steal. Like
they had to take him,
and he'll be a starter right away. I mean, that's a great pick. And then I like the linebacker from Ohio State, Cody Simon. Yeah, strong, athletic, smart. They just needed a ton of help on defense. As you can see, every pick was defense except the lineman from Texas. So I would say if you're basing off of your needs and they couldn't stop anybody last year. Yeah. Maybe if 3 or 4 of these guys, are impact players this next year and see the field and make plays, like you had a heck of a draft. And so for me, I'm giving them I think they could have gone out and got some help on the offensive line and maybe got another receiver for Kyler. So because they didn't do that is the only reason I'm giving them like a B plus. But I think drafting for need, I think they did a really, really good job.
I think so too. I'd put them in the A category. AQ?
Yeah, I love this draft. I thought their first 2 picks, they absolutely nailed. They get a D-lineman in the 3rd. They get Calais Campbell in free agency. So now you don't have to put as much pressure on him. He can kind of just be the veteran voice and kind of help everybody along. They get the kid from last year coming off injury that they drafted in the 1st round. I think Darius Robinson was his name.
Yep.
So now they've really built their D-line up. They're ready to rock and roll there. Now maybe they won't have to play bear and sub 5 down their entire game to try and stop people, and they can get back to just doing what Gannon wants to do on defense. Intel in the building. Their new offensive line coach came from Ohio State. They're able to get 2 guys from Ohio State, so they probably got more intel than most, being able to pick his brain a little bit on that, and they get the interior lineman from Texas. So I actually really I think that's a pretty good value pick for getting a 6th-round kid. I think Hayden Connor's a pretty good football player. So
he's played
I really like this draft.
Games.
Exactly. Ton of experience. I really like this draft. I think Monty's done a really good job since he came over here.
Solid GM. We're not even going to let Jay speak. We're giving him an A. Moving on to the Rams. They didn't have a 1st-round pick. I already knew that was coming. All right, we'll let you handle the Rams. The Rams don't have much to talk about. I'm looking around. They got the 46 was their first pick they had. Is there anything we want to say with the Rams here, Jay?
I went back and watched this Jaquez Hunter, running back from Auburn. I didn't realize how much production this kid had. I mean, this guy's a good back. He had like almost 300 yards against Kentucky. He's a good back. And
damn, Kentucky, big game, nice.
Kentucky had a 3rd-round defensive tackle that went. They had a pretty good defense there, Justin. I don't know if you knew that or not. Defense at Kentucky's been pretty good over the last couple of years. The number 1 corner, 1st-round draft pick at corner. Anyway, but what do you know? He's a pretty good back. I think for them to get him in the 4th round to give him and Kyron some equal opportunity share of the football, I think is a good pick.
Did they draft Blake Corum?
The Ferguson kid out of Oregon is an interesting guy. He's a productive kid out of Oregon. I think they needed a little bit more help. Higbee has been kind of unreliable the last couple of years with his injuries and whatever else is going on in his life. So to get a tight end in there that can be productive for Matthew Stafford is good. So I think that was a major need pick for sure. Stewart, the edge guy from Michigan's okay. He's got a few sacks in his career, but overall, they did what they had to do. They didn't have a 1st-round pick. They added some arsenals for next year's draft, so I think overall it's a productive day for the Rams. Rams defense is a very young defense. They're very good on defense right now. They didn't have to add a whole lot other than a lot of depth, a tight end, which they got.
Grade? Dare I ask?
B.
All right. San Francisco 49ers, a team that has a young quarterback that's about to get paid, so they have to make the most with these draft picks. They start with Mykel Williams, edge from Georgia, Alfred Collins, Texas D-line. How'd you guys not win the Natty? Nick Martin, linebacker, Upton Stout. Colt, how are we feeling about San Francisco? And anyone else jump in here? We got San Francisco up.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people thought the Mykel Williams pick was a stretch, taking him at 11, but I mean, to me, if you look at the structure of their defense, they already have Nick Bosa on one side, putting Mykel Williams on the other side. If he turns out to be what they think he is with that value, I think it's a great pick. Alfred Collins is a very underrated defensive lineman. I mean, he's a solid player, played a lot of football at Texas. And then I think as you go, they have a ton of needs, right? You hit it. I think offensively, if their guys can stay healthy, they're going to be fine. I would have preferred to see them take a offensive tackle, right? Trent Williams is still the best in the league, but who knows how much longer he's going to play. He's been banged up, misses time every year. So I would say overall, okay. They got some good players in the third, fourth, fifth rounds that one or two of those guys will hit. I like the receiver from Ole Miss. What's his name? Jordan Watkins. I've watched a lot of Ole Miss tape because you're watching Jackson Dart and you're watching, some of these guys, the running back, you're watching Trey Harris, but I really like this Jordan Watkins guy. I think he may have a chance to, make the team. So overall, I would say okay. I'd probably give him a B, maybe a B minus. I'd like to see them take an offensive lineman in the first couple rounds. But I think Alfred Collins and Mykel Williams will be two really good players on their defensive line for the next several years.
Round 7 sleeper, Curtis Work, sitting there from Indiana, a little red shirt year, play behind Purdy. I like it, man. I said I like this guy. If you could take Indiana to the playoff, I mean, you got to be a hell of a quarterback. So I'm happy he got a chance.
Hey, I like Curtis Rourke. He throws a real pretty ball.
Yeah, that's a good pickup. They had to adjust their defense. I mean, they got ravaged in free agency. I think they did a good job, but I think they don't need a tackle yet. Trent Williams will play for another couple of years. Next year, I'm sure they'll address the tackle situation. But overall, they had to get some defensive players. I think they did good.
Yeah, Nick Martin looks like a guy that can fill in the shoes for Dre Greenlaw as well. All right, last but certainly not least, we have the Seattle Seahawks. They kicked this off who AQ and I thought was the best interior offensive lineman, Gray Zabel, North Dakota State. Then they get Nick Amon-Warris from South Carolina, who looks like Cam Chancellor out there. They stay with the Miami tight end, go Elijah Arroyo, and then they get Jalen Milroe. The Seahawks made some moves, AQ, don't you think?
I love everything that they did. I think you nailed the comparison on Amon-Warris to Cam Chancellor. That's exactly what you get. And I think he fits what Mike McDonald wants to do up there. I think he's a box safety. I think he's got some coverage issues, right? They're concerned a little bit about his coverage skills, but I think as a box safety, as a downhill in this division, I think he fits perfectly. I think that's a great fit for them. Gray Zabel is the best guard in my opinion. I think so. I think he's also a little raw. He's coming from North Dakota State. His tape is incredible, but I think it's gonna be a little bit of an awakening experience once you get to the NFL. I think once you feel that out, you can't just get away with playing with your arms bent all the time. You got to play with extension. You got to punch. You got to throw your hands. You got to do a bunch of things that you don't necessarily have to do at North Dakota State. So he will figure that out, I'm sure. And then I love the pick of Jalen Milroe. I really do. You don't know what you're getting. I think whenever you look at him, I think he has top 10 ability on some of his games, and he's had some horrible games. But at the end of the day, you cannot teach, and they don't just grow on trees. His size, running a 4.37, so I think you can put together a package of some gadget plays, maybe even have a little incorporation of some Taysom Hill type stuff. Do I think he's going to be the starter? No, but if he ends up being a starter with his talent, with his ability, with his freakish athletic ability, you nailed that pick. And so
I think if you draft him this high in round 3 with all, you got to have a plan for him. You got to get him out on the field. He's a freak athlete. So I love that you're bringing up the Taysom Hill to bring him in at Wildcat, let him do a couple things here and there. He can throw it. I think that's a great idea. I think for Sam Darnold first year and for what they're trying to do on offense, they play in the rain a bunch up in Seattle, having a mix-up guy to come in and make plays. If you pick him this high, you got to do that. It'd be fun to watch this.
Maybe make him the personal protector on punt. You never know.
Jeez.
Never know.
Sometimes you should just keep things to yourself.
Yeah, I'm working on that. I get that a lot, Jack. I appreciate it. All right, well, there you have it. That was our full draft breakdown, all the grades, every team, all of our thoughts. Who would have thunk? Jay Gruden gave a B to every team in the NFL. What could go wrong? Right, wrong, or indifferent? Let us know what you guys think. Who do we get right? Who do we get wrong? How do we grade out your favorite team? For more content like this, make sure you're following along with Clean Pocket. We are breaking down the NFL. We're going division by division, breaking down all the teams, how we see them faring in 2025. So stay tuned for all that comment. So make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. You're liking all the content, and shoot us a comment. Say something nice. Well, next time, we'll see you guys as we're breaking this thing down and we're continuing into this offseason. For now, we'll see you later.
Spice up your sports viewing experience with the Underdog app. Underdog is the best place to play. Pick 'em on all of your favorite sports. Just choose higher or lower on your favorite player's stats, and you can join the millions of fans who have won billions of dollars on Underdog. What are you waiting for? Sign up now using promo code POCKET. That's POCKET, and you can get up to $1,000 in bonus credits. Download the Underdog app or visit UnderdogFantasy.com to get started today.